Yen Wudao picked up the 100 Wars bloodthirst spear. He looked at Su Xing, whose appearance had greatly changed. Thus, Yen Wudao did not recognize him. He did not recognize Lin Chong either, for he did not remember her face well from their original encounter. However, her temperament eventually gave Yen Wudao somewhat of a déjà vu. The complacent woman sneered. The young girl next to her wore a tiger pelt brocade, showing an expanse of white with tiger stripes. At this time, her star weapon was not concealed. In her hand was a tiger head broadsword, named the Dark-Hilt Tiger Demon Saber. She was the ranked 78th flowery-necked tiger Gong Wang. Su Xing stealthily sized up the present 8 star masters. The 10 great sects had 4 while the other small schools also had 4, the most high paths Xie Zhenyuan, the true immortals halls Zhao Hanyan, the lifeless halls Yen Wudao, the heavenly ice holy palaces Gong Kaiwei. The other small schools were denominated as the Blue Waves Palace, the Heavenly River Sword School, the Divine Wood Valley 2, and Transforming Life Door. 3. Su Xing had seen the Star Master of the Heavenly River Sword School at Bian City. He seemed to be called Li Xianyan. Looking at the young girl by his side, she wore a red silk long skirt, had a red flower inserted into her black hair that was bound into a cloud bun. Her expression was cold and detached. Her white fingers were even clutching a single saffron. That flower was odd, for it was redder than blood, brighter than jade, and each flower petal seemingly had blood marks, which was extremely frightening. The blood-marked lethal flower. 5. It was the earthly harm star stalk of flower Kai Qing. 6. Even if Su Xing was any more self-confident, it was impossible for one person to confront 8 star masters and 8 star generals. Furthermore, he had not come to plunder the purple star birth outline just for this. I definitely do not have any interest in fighting with you. Su Xing chuckled. He formed Blooming Water Divine Thunder, striking the original Fire Dragon Pillar. With this, the Fire Dragon Pillar was an extinguished fire dragon, and the pillar crumbled. Immediately, one of the 9 dragons' divine fire pillars broke. Su Xing scuttled away to enter. That forbid dance would be removed once all of the 9 dragons' divine fire pillars broke. At that time, the covetous supercluster stages outside would go crazy, especially the ancestor Huai Mu of the Tai Sword sect that originally could calmly persuade ancestor Heavenly Fire to calm down. To now see the Su Feng they had cultivated with the utmost care unexpectedly fall, he would be angry enough to stamp in fury. From the verbal abuse breaking in from outside, among the words were that he would grind Su Xing's bones and scatter the ashes. Although Zhao Heng escaped with somewhat of a sorry figure, overall, he could be considered not as done for, unlike his counterpart. And where do you think you can run to? The 6 asking directions to the underworld stones in the agile star featherless arrow Zhang Biluo's hands shot out. These jadeite stones indistinctly entered the air, disappearing before their eyes. When they appeared, they were right on top of them, attacking. The speed simply was transient, swift beyond reason. Lin Mei swept away too while the other 4 stones unpredictably disappeared and reappeared, penetrating Lin Mei's defenses and hitting several places on Su Xing's shoulders. His bones were pounded to the breaking point. This agile star's concealed weapon was frightening, as expected. Su Xing bore with the blood in his throat, and flicking his fingers, 10 bolts of purple thunder then burst forth. The flowery-necked tiger grabbed the dark-hilt tiger demon saber and leapt to cleave the divine thunder. I will have to offend you here, Yen Wudao calmly said, raising a sword chant as he also attacked. Let's leave. Su Xing and Lin Mei immediately entered the second layer within the forbid dance, rushing to grab the birth outline's treasure outline. That pyramid surroundings suddenly unfolded a barrier, stopping Su Xing from taking another step forward. Su Xing silently cursed. Unexpectedly, there was another barrier. A figure flit by. Bang bang bang. The asking directions to the underworld stones pounded on the barrier. Yen Wudao and the others rushed in. Princess? Dong Junqing wished she could wickedly kill Su Xing, kill and defile him, but without the princess orders, she could only stifle her foul resentment within her own heart. Princess Ling Yen Zhao Hanyan's brows wrinkled. With its 1,000-year contract she had with Su Xing, if something happened to Su Xing, she also would have no fruit to eat. However, for her to rashly act out was absolutely impossible. That was equivalent to becoming enemies with all of the other sections. 7. In Zhao Hanyan's heart, this Su Xing truly does not want to live. Seeing the other Star Masters all rush onto the purple jade platform, Princess Ling Yan also did not dare to be neglectful. For the immediate moment, fighting over the chests was more urgent. Fellows, are we still not joining hands to get rid of the purple thunder monster? This person is but a great danger. Just now, you all saw that he indeed killed the Tai Sword Sect's Su Feng and defeated Zhao Heng. The Blue Wave Palace's female cultivator persistently fanned the flames, her tongue bursting with flowers. This monster has even obtained the devil-suppressing stone steel and the ghost's god's bane. If we kill him, how about we divide credit evenly? Her words aroused a glint in the eyes of the others. Looking at that astral treasure sword, the good items he had must not be few. Kill me. This young master has the jade pendant on his person, so can you kill me? Su Xing chuckled. You all better take it a bit easier. Should the chest be stolen by someone, it cannot be transferred away. The other restless cultivators took a moment to calm down. The Panther Head Lin Chong's 2-star destined weapon and a contractor at Galaxy early stage. They truly did not have confidence that they could kill the purple thunder monster, particularly when Zhao Heng and Su Fan already were the best proof of that. The only ones who could confront the purple thunder monster was perhaps Xie Zhenyuan, Yan Wudao and Zhao Hanyan. Regardless of cultivation, star generals needed to be higher ranked, so much so that the strongest sword chant was also needed. Thereupon, they placed all of their gazes on themselves. Xie Zhenyuan was somewhat odd. Among the Star Masters, he was the only one who had not brought his star general, and it was unknown if he was being too self-confident. Brother Wudao, Princess Ling Yan. This monster is a disaster. I believe we should kill him first, then worry about this chest. If we kill this monster, this chest is but an item in our bags. We cannot let the monster snatch away these treasures. The Blue Wave Palace's female cultivator blurted. Yan Wudao wrinkled his brow, then nodded. This Princess Star General is one of the 5 Tiger Generals. We have no interest in playing this game of many cheating against one with any of you. If you want to kill, then kill. This palace wants to seize the chest, Jun Qing. Zhao Hanyan shot a glance at Su Xing, who already thoroughly understood the meaning in her expression. This princess is as being extremely benevolent. Whether you will die or live is something you have to figure out yourself. The steadfast star Dong Junqing was somewhat displeased, but there was no helping it. Raising the dragon and phoenix Yin Yang spear, she then went to break the true dragon barrier. Along with her was an additional cold young girl. She was the immortal hero princess, Gong Kaiwei. The other 6 people looked at each other in dismay. How did they not expect that these two, in their capacity as royals, would unexpectedly pay them no heed? Even Zhao Hanyan felt surprised. Since when was Gong Kaiwei this kind? Since Princess Ling Yan feels it beneath her, leave this purple thunder monster to me then. This will not take much time. Xie Zhenyuan gestured with his hand, and 12 emerald green flying swords appeared with a dazzle. This was his supreme grade sword chant, Most High Jade Clarity Sword. 8. The moment he acted, the other people suddenly froze. They stared at Xie Zhenyuan's expression very strangely. Su Xing raised the blooming water divine thunder. The Most High Jade Clarity Sword became a mysterious sword array that was split into 3 paths from top to bottom. In an instant they shot over. Su Xing using the blooming water divine thunder had changed the situation, and for absolute certainty, Xie Zhenyuan also formed a hand seal. The 3 swords merged, a cyan light shot in all directions, and it broke through the blooming water divine thunder. Lin Yingmei stepped forward to block it, but the featherless arrows randomly appearing asking directions to the underworld stone made the majestic star continuously ward them off. Su Xing was forced away by the flying sword. He fell behind Gong Kaiwei, and the Most High Clarity Sword shot over with a whoosh to attack. In a split second, without any indication, Gong Kaiwei turned around, lifting the tracing snow sword to stab at Su Xing. The corners of her skirt fluttered, and the girl's figure appeared before his eyes. When Xie Zhenyuan saw, he forcibly halted his sword chant. Gong Kaiwei was from the Heavenly Ice Holy Palace, so it was not good to accidentally injure her at this phase. At the same time, it was very odd this immortal hero princess would make a move at this critical juncture. Su Xing was also stunned by Gong Caiwei's attack. He easily raised the clinging Fire Star Domain sword to block Gong Caiwei's thrust with one of his own. Only when the sword completely lacked killing intent did he realize the girl did this deliberately. She coldly said in a quiet voice, "You still are not going to quickly take Lin Chong and escape?" Gong Kaiwei flicked the sword into a cold light pierces snow. Su Xing already was familiar with her sword path at the general's mausoleum, and he very easily dispelled it. "That can wait until I obtain the treasure outline." The Virgin Maiden's fragrance was titillating, yet Gong Caiwei's sword style was swift and fierce. "Are you truly not afraid of dying?" "Afraid? How can I not be afraid? But right now I cannot die," Su Xing thought as he sized up the other Star Masters. The two, "you come and I go" exchange of blows stunned the other watching Star Masters. Although they knew the immortal hero princess sword style was exceptional, they did not imagine that it unexpectedly was unable to take down the purple thunder monster. "Then you can just prepare to die," Gong Kaiwei said coldly. "Look out." Suddenly, Su Xing pushed her away without any warning, and a ray of cold light passed between the two. The multicolored light scattered in empty space. Gong Caiwei's expression shifted. The 5 elements weather banner surrounded and formed an array around her body, blocking the multicolored light. A figure of purple smoke leisurely approached for an attack. When Princess Ling Yan saw that battle between the two was almost flirtatious, her heart was slightly resentful. Her sword art severed the connection between the two people. Then, her white hand gestured, and her figure flashed to the front of Su Xing. "Su Xing, are you very carefree? Long time no see." Su Xing formed a blooming water divine thunder, not daring to release killing intent. "Yes. You do not flee, and you unexpectedly even have the carefree mood to flirt with the immortal hero princess? How amazing!" Zhao Hanyan withdrew. The moment just now when he pushed Gong Kaiwei aside had been seen by Zhao Hanyan. "Princess Ling Yan, what is the meaning of this?" The others did not understand. If Zhao Hanyan used the powerful 72 Outer Void sword she had, that was a major killing move. The purple thunder monster has the ghost's god's bane. This palace naturally needs him alive in order to know the whereabouts of this ghost's god's bane. Zhao Hanyan said with an unmoved tone. "I see that as unnecessary," Yen Wudao calmly said. His sword chant simultaneously manifested, a black light thoroughly serene, like ink, like a deep pool. Several dozen coldly glinting flying swords flew over to stab at Su Xing. One side was ink concentrated as the dark, and the other was a warm green with the breath of life. There was also slender and twisting lightning on the sword, releasing a crackling noise. Although the other cultivators could not use sword chants, the Blue Wave Palace woman raised her hand which hoisted a command banner interwoven into a great array that circled around above. Inside the great array were raging flames, burning downwards towards them. The two great galaxy late-stage Star Masters acted out, so what leeway did Su Xing have? Zhao Hanyan wrinkled her brow, already thinking she had no choice but to make a move of her own. She fixed her gaze on Su Xing, only to suddenly discover the man before her was still that calm and collected, the corner of his mouth even curling into a smile. Facing this many Star Masters encircling him for a kill, yet he was this undisturbed? Had he gone mad? Zhao Hanyan immediately received her reply. Su Xing threw out a talisman that stuck onto the true dragon barrier. With a bang! With a sound as if the air had been ripped apart, Zhao Hanyan turned her head to look. The third true dragon barrier already was suddenly collapsing, and immediately, the heavenly spirit, earthly fiend and purple star chests all were exposed. Instantly, the other small school cultivators revealed greedy expressions, frantically pouncing for the chests, their interest in the purple thunder monster lost. Their fear was that others would steal a march on them. Those cultivators that had come to plunder the purple star grade birth outline naturally were here for the treasure chest. Seeing the treasure chest revealed behind the disappearing forbid dance, how could they have the slightest bit of hesitance? The star masters of these small schools were very clear. If the time to fight over the chest truly came, where would there be a chance for them? Xie Zhenyuan and Yan Wudao were also stunned. Watching them rush to squabble over the chests, they were unable to kill Su Xing. These treasure chests were not that difficult. Earthly fiend chests were fine, and the heavenly spirit grade chests needed to waste several seconds imbuing it with divine intent. The purple star grade was even more complicated, and that birth treasure outline was just like it needed to be refined once again in order to appear. If it was not for this reason, Su Xing would have already used the territory-breaking talisman before entering the forbid dance to take everything away. The Divine Wood Valley's cultivator rolled away 2 earthly fiend chests, 1 heavenly spirit chest, and was about to move his hand towards a purple star chest when, at this time, a green light smashed straight through his palm. He screamed and fell over. "Young master!" His star general was the wild star Kong Ming, too, and she swept away several green stones with the wind-hacking thunderclap hammer, 3 in her hand. But an even more powerful darkness sword chant shrouded the space above her head. Kong Ming rolled the wing-hacking thunderclap hammer, and her yellow rank style broke these black sword arrays, but 6 translucent green lights flashed in front of her. The girl screamed, and had been sent straight into the star nest after being penetrated. The agile star featherless arrow Zhang Qing's asking for directions to the underworld stone randomly disappeared and reappeared, and it was already refined to 2-star. "Seer!" The male cultivator saw this, and he loudly shouted, baring his teeth wide-eyed at Yan Wudao. Yan Wudao swept with his sword chant, and when the male cultivator saw this, he hastily activated the jade pendant. Yan Wudao did not have the intention to kill him at all. The several dozen sword chants stopped those cultivators. Originally, he had wanted to deter the scene before him, but suddenly seeing Xie Zhenyuan fly towards the chests, he knew at this time, saying anything more was useless. Zhao Hanyan was secretly shocked by Su Xing's method, but she did not fall behind. Thereupon, a group of people developed into a war fighting over the chests. Artifacts, multicolored lights, back and forth. Looking at this time, each minded their own business. White deer highlands, upon a white tiger suspended in the air. Upon the tiger sat 2 exceptionally beautiful girls. They were Wu Song and Xiaoa. The 5 great firmament dragons already were all dead, and seeing the center of dense purple clouds already roll with bright lights, a look told of the final juncture. "We came late," Xiaoer said. "Lin Chang's master is already there," Wu Song coldly said. She had heard the discussions of the others. "Little sister Wu Song, you won't really kill him, will you?" Xiaoer smiled. The chilly killing intent of Wu Song's eyes already told of everything clearly. The white and black unicorn tiger became a streak of white light, immediately rushing in. Outside the purple cloud, the great sex ancestral master grade characters all were somewhat unsightly. Due to the purple cloud's envelopment and the forbid dance sealing them, they simply could not enter. The supercluster stage great cultivators also did not want to willingly sit and wait, joining hands to fully use each of their powers to break this forbid dance. "Headmaster, do you want your servant too?" Bing Qingxian, 5, said to Extreme Clarity Elder Immortal. "You shall not go." Extreme Clarity Elder Immortal used sound transmission. Instantly, a white light rushed past them, and the great cultivators looked at each other in dismay. Wu Song. Meanwhile, the earthly fiend chests inside the purple jade platform very quickly were taken away with nothing left. The heavenly spirit chests were also heavily depleted, but the purple star grades were the hardest to settle. These purple star grade chests adhered to souls. In case someone approached, it would transform into every sort of ancient form. There were devil heavenly dragons, heaven overturning fire dragons, etc. Each purple star grade additionally had one, so to take this chest first required killing these soul demon beasts. This was the 4th forbid dance. Presently, there were 8 cultivators present, and the cultivators each took one of the 9 purple star grade chests. Everyone exhausted everything they could to break the forbid dance of the purple star chest. With this, they could even take another purple star grade chest. The atmosphere for a time was extremely odd. 2 of the 9 dragons' divine fire pillars suddenly were destroyed, and the purple jade platform shook for a time. Su Xing's heart sunk, for he knew the great cultivators outside were using magic to break the forbid dance. With their cultivation, breaking this 9-dragon divine fire pillar forbid dance perhaps was not a problem. Should they enter, the escape route Su Xing could use was limited to one. Even if he was not the purple thunder monster, just the star masters outside of these allied sects would invite the misfortune of killing people. These fire dragons were incredible. Their battles forced Su Xing and Lin Yingmei to be somewhat exhausted, and judging from the true fire greatly swelling from the raging flames becoming threads, to make them dissolved required some skill. Su Xing raised the mountain-breaking engraving, which smashed its way over. Immediately after, he fully used the blooming water divine thunder without stopping. The thunder boomed, and Lin Yingmei's Arctic Star Serpent Spear also continuously cleaved with its cold winds. Just at this moment, the Heavenly River Sword School, the Blue Wave Palace, and the Transforming Life Door's 3 Star Masters turned their eyes and suddenly launched into a close-quarters attack. The flowery-necked Tiger Gong Wang's Dark Hilt Tiger Devil Saber, the stalk of Flower Kai Qing's blood-marked lethal flower, and the knife-wielding demon Chao Zheng's skilled butcher's ox dismembering saber, 6, each attacked Su Xing. The 3 Star Masters completely understood tacitly, each standing by with already full power artifacts and abilities. The circumstances were extremely shocking, which made Gong Kaiwei and the rest surprised. These sect disciples and the rest could not compare in cultivation with the 5 that had already entered Galaxy stage. If they wanted to forcibly break the purple star grade birth outline, that was far from keeping up with them. Therefore, they shifted their attention. Seizing the time that Su Xing and Lin Chong were battling the fire dragon, it would be better to kill this legendary purple thunder monster, and capturing his magic weapon could come after. Seeing as how his reputation was so illustrious, clearly, the items he had with him were unknown levels better than this chest. Su Xing released his divine intent, having already guarded against this. The Molten Halone and Devil Sealing Sword artifacts immediately flew out, rushing at the G-Star knife-wielding demon Chao Zheng, 7, and the victorious star flowery-necked Tiger Gong Wang, 8. These artifacts naturally were incapable of trapping these fiend stars, and Gong Wang's Dark Hilt Tiger Devil Saber cleaved open the molten halo. The Devil Sealing Sword was actually incapable of being launched away, but the Star General's star weapon broke the sword shadows with random swings. However, this gave Lin Yingmei time. With spear in hand, she seized the opportunity to counterattack, cutting down the artifacts and flying swords that soared over. "Hey!" The young girl in red silk coldly grunted, forming a hand seal. The blood-marked lethal flower fell between Lin Yingmei and Su Xing, suddenly erupting a blood-colored sword light. This was the star magic of the earthly harm star stalk of Flower Kai Qing. 9. Su Xing and Lin Yingmei could only helplessly retreat to avoid this keen blood light. Raising both hands, the blooming water divine thunder became a massive python that pounced, its lightning erupting. Lin Yingmei's figure faded, her shadows continuous, as her spear technique immediately invaded the middle of the Star Generals. The knife-wielding demon and flowery-necked tiger cut at Lin Yingmei with their long sabers. Their star weapons were all 2-star, and this slash made Lin Yingmei feel slight pressure. Su Xing disappeared with an escape technique. His hand clutching the clinging fire star domain sword, he attacked them. The 3 Star Masters were already on their guard, and Li Xianyan was even more of a formidable character among them. Activating his Heavenly River Sword chant, seemingly countless true waters moved to attack Su Xing. Then he opened his mouth, spitting out several dozen rock-piercing water droplets. The other 2 Star Masters also each used their seals and powers. When Su Xing saw this, he hastily moved backwards, raising the blood rain pot. A red blood light scattered across the entire sky. The blood rain pot? Li Xianyan recognized this artifact. He promptly waved his hand, and the sky-filling blood light shot down with thuds, turning into raindrops. The Nebula late-stage Star Master's expressions chilled. "Yunjin!" 10. Li Xianyan immediately yelled. His Star General Kai Yunjin instantly activated her star magic, and a blood-marked lethal flower suddenly rose. Its circulating blood light unexpectedly absorbed the blood rain. Su Xing was stunned, and flicking his fingers, a lightning net flew over. Yan Wudao narrowed his eyes. The Lin Yingemi that happened to be dueling two star generals suddenly felt wind pour into her ear. Glancing, she saw a concealed weapon attacking her. Her shadow faded, dodging 3 concealed weapons, but another 3 shot over from an odd angle, just managing to hit Lin Yingme. When the G-Star and the Victorious Star saw the girl expose an opening, their sabers directly attacked. Lin Yingmei's 10,000 techniques realms afterimages were continuous, and she broke away from the 2 slashes. But Lin Yingmei was somewhat enraged at Zhang Qing's asking for directions to the underworld stones. Suddenly, she noticed Yan Wudao and Xie Zhenyuan already had obtained a purple star chest. They each looked each other in the eye and understood tacitly what to do, activating their life-cast sword chants at Su Xing young master. Lin Yingmei wanted to protect him. With a cold laugh, Zhang Biluo opened her hands, and the 6 asking directions to the underworld stones disappeared. They banged towards Lin Yingmei. Several dozen flying swords attacked Su Xing head-on, and he thought to himself, these large schools are each cunning as a fox. Unexpectedly waiting for a chance to join hands, at that moment he hesitated to bring out his final trump cards, the Ghost's God's Bane or the Blaze Refining 9 Hell's Saber. He suddenly saw 2 silhouettes fly at him, which secretly shocked him. The flying swords were then blocked. Yan Wudao and Xie Zhenyuan were stunned. What are you 2 doing? Gong Kaiwei and Zhao Hanyan widened and narrowed their eyes, simultaneously shouting, "Why did you save him?" The 2 girls were taken aback, each looking at the opposite in shock. Su Xing was also speechless, but currently, why would he concern himself with this? His hands fiercely exerted strength, releasing divine thunder. Just what sort of relationship do you have with this purple thunder monster? Xie Zhenyuan yelled. You cannot kill him. If he dies, what would Father Emperor do if he cannot obtain the Ghost's God's Bane? Though Zhao Hanyan's words were righteous, Su Xing admired how she actually lied through her teeth. Yan Wudao and Xie Zhenyuan actually also knew that Emperor Liang attached great importance to this unique devil weapon. It was not easy to act out against Zhao Hanyan when she looked so suspect. Kaiwei, why did you save him just now? Zhao Hanyan sneered. Gong Kaiwei was indifferent, with an attitude that disdained to reply. Little sister Kaiwei, we have not sparred in a long time. Since this birth outline can have only one person anyways, today, we shall compare our strengths here. Princess Ling Yan said as she raised her sword chant. Dong Junqing was already impatient, raising her dragon and phoenix yin-yang double spear to attack Zhu Sha. Gong Caiwei's life-cast sword chant attacked at the same time. The leader star resourceful strategist Zhu Sha's 5 elements weather banner transformed into 10,000 li, spreading out to form an array, and the 2 women unexpectedly began fighting. Yan Wudao and Xie Zhenyuan looked on dumbstruck. Su Xing thought, what the hell are you 2 doing at such a time? The Clinging Fire domain sword hacked out Clinging Fire, and exerting the mountain-breaking engraving, he swept towards a chest. Originally, the nearly disastrous fire dragons had been smashed through by the mountain-breaking engraving. Now, how could Su Xing be carefree when the 5th had taken away a purple star chest? For now, we first kill Lin Chong. Xie Zhenyuan's brows wrinkled. The most high-clarity sword's cyan light scattered. Just at this time, the purple cloud turned over, and another dragon pillar collapsed. At this time, 2 maidens suddenly entered from the purple cloud. Who dares kill Lin Chong? The girl with water-like long hair icily said. She was Wu Song. CEO. 11. The Lin Yingmei that struck back 2 star generals saw that girl, and she could not help but cry out in surprise. Wu Xiao? Hearing Lin Yingmei's words, Su Xing's brows rose. This name actually quite suited her when matched with that icy temperament. The Harm Star's appearance was far outside the expectations of these sect star masters. Each had froze, and Zhao Hanyan and Gong Caiwei's duel also could not help but pause. Because Su Xing heard that Shower had come to snatch a chest away, he greatly calmed. He was only quite surprised at the daring these 2 had. Outside the purple jade platform were an additional dozen supercluster cultivators, so how did she go about handling them? Wu Song's gaze swept around, finally landing on Lin Yingmei and Su Xing. Lin Yingmei raised her spear, subconsciously guarding in front of Su Xing. Yingmei, that man is worth your protection? Wu Xiao spoke. A faithful life pledge. Lin Yingmei's tone was decisive. All of the Star Masters and Star Generals were stunned. Each was somewhat shocked that legendary Panther Head would be this resolute. The atmosphere was extremely calm for a time. A stifling calm. Wu Xiao and Lin Yingmei stared face to face, a sort of soundless contest. Boom! The fifth divine fire pillar collapsed. Little sister Wu Song, bringing trouble to Lin Chang's master, can wait until after this. Shower said, alarmed. Her two hands formed a seal, and the star crest on her forehead flashed. A golden light struck the birth treasure outline, and that complex star of hers immediately appeared on the steel. Shower wanted to refine this birth treasure outline, and this also was the purple star grade birth outline's final forbid dance. How could Yan Wudao, Xie Zhenyuan and the rest be so willing when they saw this? Wu Song, do not be so impudent. The two raised their sword chants, transforming into a sun cross. Power that could overturn mountains and rivers attacked Shao. Even Gong Kaiwei and Zhao Hanyan did not dare be neglectful, each using artifacts and sword chant to join the fray. The group, originally unable to ally together to confront the purple thunder monster, instantly joined hands with perfect coordination because of Wu Song's appearance. Su Xing chuckled, for he had been waiting for this precise moment. To make Su Xing alone plunder the birth outline with the 10 great sects, even if he did not have any faith, he knew Shower and Wu Song would appear. Su Xing had already settled on this idea of making Wu Song into a shield. After all, the hegemon of the previous generation's Maiden Mountain was even more infamous in every way compared to his purple thunder monster. No matter what, those large schools would seemingly overlook large enemies, and this time, they had a chance to go obtain the birth outline. Soaring high into the air, they formed hand seals as they were suspended on their flying swords, launching a star crest that fought against Shao. The white and black unicorn tiger's roar was jolting. Its tiger claw shot a streak of white light, and these white lights turned into thin blades that battled the flying swords. The sword chants of the four were also formidable, but this star beast was a Star World Spirit Beast, a Star General's guardian mount. The Galaxy Stage sword chants briefly stopped the light. The other Star Masters launched attacks, unwilling to let Su Xing and Shower seize the steel. The killing moves of each of the Star Generals was used to their utmost. The featherless arrow Zhang Qing's 2 palms moved, and the 6 asking directions to the underworld stones shot over. They saw the pilgrim's figure lean, and the asking directions to the underworld stones were scattered, stunning Zhang Qing. The frosty as ink double-headed sword was already on the approach. Zhang Biluo's concealed weapon was excellent, but in terms of close combat, how could she be Wu Song's opponent? Zhang Biluo crossed her arms, and Yan Wudao recalled his sword chant. The black flying sword became a barrier that slowed Wu Song. Wu Xiao's noble frost demonic lotus broke it. The sword chi bit everywhere wildly, the attack leaving Zhang Qing battered and bruised. You are rather inattentive of elder sister. Dong Junqing coldly grinned, raising her double spears as she leapt over. Among all the Star Generals present, the steadfast star was a formidable character. The dragon and phoenix yin yang became a rainbow. King. Before it came close, an Arctic star serpent spear blocked in front of her, and it was Lin Yingmei who acted. Move aside. The double spears suddenly swept. Clang clang. Lin Yingmei stabbed straight, the spirit strength like a wisp of snow. Dong Junqing was forced backwards, blocking it. How could Zhao Hanyan be willing to continue fighting when she saw Su Xing and that mysterious girl refine the steel? Suddenly releasing purple smoke that wandered around her, she then formed a hand seal. At the same time, she urged out her star crest. Princess Ling Yen continuously formed seals, her star energy completely activated. The purple star birth outline steel very quickly had 3 star crests. Afterwards, a white star diagram also appeared on the steel, for Gong Kaiwei also joined the ranks of competitors. The resourceful strategist Zhu Sha stood guard next to her, not daring to act when she knew Wu Song was not someone she could face. Because Yan Wudao and Xie Jinyuan were too far, they were obstructed outside by Wu Xiao, with no way to go fight for it. The two strongest star masters glanced at each other, raising their sword chants. This time, the remaining martial force and magic energy star generals all fully moved out, attempting to destroy the other star master's refinement. 6 green lights suddenly appeared. The featherless arrow Zhang Qing's concealed weapon simply was brilliant, like a demon. It could always appear in any place, and Dong Juanqing's 2-star dragon and phoenix yin yang spear also was no mere decoration. Guarding against Zhang Qing's concealed weapon on one side while also facing Dong Juanqing's fierce offensive on the other, even the cold Wu Xiao barely kept up. Bang bang bang. She blocked 3 of the concealed weapons, but the other 3 hit Wu Xiao's arm. A green light swept past, which made Wu Xiao fall back. Hey! Dong Juanqing seized the chance to cross her double spears together and attack, twisting like a drill towards the top of Wu Xiao's head. In the case the star general that did not sign a contract received a deadly attack, she would not enter the star nest, but would directly fall. When Lin Yingmei saw, her spear swept away Chao Zheng and Gong Wang. Shifting to a fast pace, the Arctic Star Serpent spear blocked Dong Juanqing's double spears, and hefting her, she repelled the steadfast star. Yingmei, in the end, you are unwilling to sign a contract? Wu Xiao pensively said. Xiao, what are you saying? Lin Yingmei was hoarse. Otherwise, why would you come help me? Wu Xiao calmly said. Those cool and elegant pupils brimmed with a curiosity. The Lin Chong that has signed a contract would not have taken pity on other star generals. Your servant's master is not as you think. Lin Yingmei grit her teeth. Swish, swish. Again, there were artifacts and sword lights scattering. This time, the noble frost demonic lotus lazily brushed aside these attacks with a swing. You have been deceived by that man. Wu Xiao coldly looked at Su Xing. Your servant shall now go kill that man. Xiao, you dare. Lin Yingmei yelled, your servant naturally understands your logic? Those peerless beautiful good looks of Wu Xiao were still expressionless, but her murderous aura overall had at last greatly eased. The relationship between you two sisters is pretty good. It would be better to give Dong Juanqing the pleasure of joining in your intimacy. 2. A dallying voice sounded out, and Dong Juanqing laughed evilly. Her dragon and phoenix yin-yang spears crossed, with one hot and the other cold. Great rays of spear light like crescent moons seemingly poured out. It was the yin-yang cross slash. A chill flashed in both Wu Xiao and Lin Yingmei at the same time. The noble frost demonic lotus and the Arctic Star Serpent spear, in the middle of their rise and fall, unexpectedly stopped Dong Juanqing's yin-yang cross slash. Their mutual understanding made Dong Juanqing lose her color. At this moment, the other star generals also saw Wu Xiao and Lin Yingmei's distinctness. These 2 legendary star maidens that would not sign contracts in 1,000 years were back-to-back with each other. They had a kind of exceptionally frightening magic energy, so the star generals subconsciously recalled a legend from the previous generation. The 8th-generation Harm star pilgrim Wu Song and majestic star panther head Lin Chong joined hands to greatly topple the Maiden Mountain, and it was at the 5th phase at the very end they met with encirclement and annihilation by more than 10 star masters. At that time, the 2 chilly star generals were back-to-back just like this, calm and smiling. And the final outcome was recorded in history. In the end, Wu Song slayed all the star masters, and from that generation of Maiden Mountain star duels, she held supremacy. Furthermore, that Lin Chong that fought together with her had reportedly fallen in battle. As for the inside details, nobody knew, but seeing these 2 have such a deep rapport from their hearts, the rest immediately leapt high. We must kill them. All the star generals came up with an idea, and all the star masters came up with an idea. Another fire dragon pillar collapsed. The final forbid dance was approaching a crisis. Yingmei, your servant shall help you this time. Your servant wants to see just what capabilities your master has. Wu Xiao icily said. And Lin Yingmei affirmed. You are making elder sister somewhat burn with lust and envy. Dong Juanqing shouted. Under her vigor, all the others once again attacked. Silhouettes overlaid, and Lin Yingmei and Wu Xiao attacked the left and right. A spear like a bright star, with lifting wind and falling snow, wherever it passed. If it was not a hurricane fiercely roaring, it was a spell of chilliness that pierced into the bone, a matchless foe. Wu Xiao's figure was even more magnificent, seemingly graceful. The noble frost demonic lotus was dabbed with snow, its sword chi like a weaved thread. Her footwork was wonderful, repeatedly leaving afterimages. Dong Junqing did not dare be careless when she saw this, her double spears presenting a defensive power. The knife-wielding demon Chao Zheng and the flowery-necked tiger Gong Wang immediately used each of their yellow rank battle techniques. A saber technique fine to the smallest unit, it was seemingly even able to completely dismember a mosquito. Handling close-quarters combat, it was extremely exceptional. The flowery-necked tiger Gong Wang's dark-hilt tiger devil saber was a blade like a fierce tiger, and a ferocious tiger fiend pounced out of the blade. Who would have thought Wu Xiao would lightly pass it by? The noble frost demonic lotus was more mysterious than Chao Zheng's fine saber technique. That magnificent double-headed sword brushed over, and the G-star had been struck back into the star nest before she could react. The victorious star flowery-necked tiger's tiger fiend also was not able to approach Lin Yingmei. The panther head's body techniques warped, leading to a miss. When she fell to the ground, her stomach already had been punctured with a big hole, and Gong Wang also returned to the star nest. The agile star Zhang Biluo no longer hesitated, using her yellow rank style. The 6 asking directions to the underworld stones somehow became 60. At this moment, in the midst of refining the birth outline, Shower clearly occupied the superior position, and her star energy was simply incomparable. In the blink of an eye, golden light covered Gong Kaiwei, Zhao Hanyan and the others' star crests while Su Xing's difficult battle was approaching imminent danger. Shower calmly flipped through hand seals, and the golden light had just about already completely wrapped up the birth treasure outline. Su Xing and the others were already nearly at their limit. Go! Zhao Hanyan abruptly shouted, and the 72 outer void flying immortals' swords formed a sword array. Sword light all of a sudden flashed and stabbed at Shao. Shower struck a seal, and a weapon wrapped in gold flew out that clashed with Zhao Hanyan's sword chant. Gong Kaiwei also unexpectedly formed a seal, and the 5 elements weather banner magic circles suddenly appeared. Just when those 3 were careless, Su Xing all of a sudden yelled. Su Xing's forehead simultaneously flashed 4 star crests. These star crests each were entirely different, yet they all followed the path of the heavenly spirit and earthly fiend. Simultaneously releasing resplendent light, the 4 star crests appearing at the same time was just like one becoming 4. The light of the birth treasure outline inside the stone steel glowed brighter, and a great expanse of golden fire sailed out, unexpectedly covering the imprints of the 3 girls in the blink of an eye. The entire stone steel rapidly split open, spinning with a rumble. A moment later, there was a bang, and the birth treasure outline broke the stone, shooting out and into Su Xing's forehead. How can this be? Shower and the rest were extremely startled. How did they not think that Su Xing would unexpectedly finish refining the birth treasure outline in such a short time? I won't be keeping you company. Su Xing also did not expect matters would progress this smoothly. At once, he was about to call out to Lin Yingmei. At this moment, Gong Kaiwei wanted to go snatch it back, but her hand extended and stopped. She unexpectedly did not know how she should raise her hand against this man that once preserved her own purity, and Zhu Sha's magic circle also hesitated to a stop along with the princess. When Zhao Hanyan saw, she was indescribably resentful. She had the 1,000-year contact on her, so she naturally also could not possibly act against Su Xing. Shower also seemingly gave up. The result was that the 3 girls' eyes helplessly watched Su Xing take away the birth treasure outline. Although the birth treasure outline had been taken, there was still an additional 4 chests that these girls would not miss. There was a scream. As it turned out at this moment, Wu Xiao's noble frost demonic lotus penetrated a cultivator. This cultivator was not just anyone, but the renowned Xie Zhenyun. Without a star general's protection, In a close-quarters confrontation with the heavenly harm star, Xie Zhenyuan simply completely lacked the opportunity to resist. Wu Xiao's brows did not wrinkle at all, and just as her next attack was about to send him off, suddenly at this moment, a figure abruptly appeared and laid over Xie Zhenyuan's body, shouting, "Elder sister, don't." That 12 or 13-year-old girl made Wu Xiao's sword tip directly stop before her neck. "Rulin, flee quickly." Xie Zhenyuan coughed blood, forming a hand seal. The flying sword confronting the white and black unicorn tiger lazily turned back. Seeing that he was unwilling to give up, why would the harm star know leniency? A cold wind blew straight. With a boom, the 9 dragons' divine fire pillars completely collapsed. The purple cloud then dispersed away. Su Xing thought to himself, shit. With a big step forward, he reached Lin Yingmei's side. The majestic star shook her spear, blowing back Dong Junqing. "You were leaving now?" Su Xing called and had Lin Yingmei enter the star nest. In a rare instance, Lin Yingmei hesitated as she looked at Wu Xiao. Wu Xiao's expression coldly stared at Lin Yingmei. It was hard to tell what her feelings were. "Where do you think you can run to?" There was a bellow like thunder, and an immense spiritual pressure pressed down from above, squeezing the space together. It was as if the 5 sacred mountains were pinning them. They were incapable of breathing, and the movements of their whole bodies immediately became incomparably rigid. 100 figures appeared all at the same time, encircling their surroundings. These were the sects that had waited for a long time. Zhenyun. The extreme clarity elder immortal saw Xie Zhenyuan's whole body was bloody, and with a flick, a rolling breeze blew Wu Xiao away. The other disciples promptly stepped forward to support Xie Zhenyuan and bring him back. The other sect's ancestral masters at this moment looked at each other in dismay. Could it be that that tiny pink-clothed girl was Xie Zhenyuan's star general Su Xing's divine intent latched onto the purple star-grade jade pendant, preparing at any time for paradise in a flash? This entire group was full of abnormalities here, and he certainly did not have interest being with them. That Xian Zhenzi and the Queen Lady of Ice saw their own apprentices were handling purple star grades, and they went along to destroy the above protection. Purple Thunder Monster, today, this ancestor and you cannot live under the same sky. The Su Feng he had brought here for the purple star birth outline became the sole star master to fall, which made ancestor Huai Mu unable to restrain his anger. He itched to turn Su Xing into mincemeat. His sword chant activated and twisted over. The other ancestors were stunned. With a detached point of view, Ancestor Heavenly Fire's eyes were even somewhat grimly smiling. Lin Yingmei's 2-star destined weapon hacked out a cold tip to that broke the sword chant. Ancestor Huai Mu angrily shouted, forming seals with his hands. A mountain immediately dropped from the sky. That mountain was 100 zhang, its size terrifying. Ancestor Huai Mu unexpectedly used the mountain-moving peak-flipping art. An ability that was actually quite amazing. But Ancestor Huai Mu had not yet pressed the mountain downwards when Su Xing raised his hand, and purple thunder burst out of his arm. This was the 5 spirits' law books, Divine Thunder Slays the Dragon. The purple thunder was like a perfectly straight sharp sword, and it flashed over. Immediately, it arrived in front of Ancestor Huai Mu. Ancestor Huai Mu was momentarily astonished. Hastily bringing out the mountain to go block it, the mountain surprisingly was shattered. "Why are you not acting to destroy this monster?" Ancestor Huai Mu had been frightened, full of cold sweat. Only then did he recall that handling the dragon and then going to break the forbid dance just now had left him with nearly no magic energy. He was almost about to die at the hands of a galaxy stage, and seeing the other ancestors smile peacefully without lifting a finger, he angrily yelled, "Only a galaxy late-stage cultivator, he is unworthy of us raising a hand." Ancestor Heavenly Fire's voice was low. When Ancestor Huai Mu saw them like this, he knew that they were considering the Liangshan Maiden's might. The last purple star chest was taken by Xiao. She looked at the surrounding cultivators, then said a sentence that made Su Xing burst out laughing. "The plundering of the purple star chest has already ended. Everyone must be tired, so let's adjourn." Su Xing very much wanted to leave, but looking at the surrounding cultivators that scowled, they simply did not give him any outlet. Of course, what he was even more worried about was Lin Yingmei. The girl seemingly was somewhat hesitant towards Wu Song. At this moment, Su Xing suddenly noticed an odd phenomenon. Originally, he had thought the numerous cultivators would blast him with criticism, then wish they could take him apart. However, he suddenly discovered at this time, those supercluster stage monsters each stared at one person. It was none other than Wu Xiao. What was going on? Seeing Lin Yingmei's brow crease, he had an ill premonition. Wu Song is in danger this time. A somewhat frail voice sounded out in his brain. Little E, are your injuries fine? Su Xing nervously asked. When he used the star crest to refine the birth treasure outline just now, it was because he worried that he did not use Little Yi's star energy. Many thanks for Master's concern. Little E is already fine. Just now, why is it that you say she is in danger? Su Xing said, do these supercluster cultivators want to kill Wu Song? But aren't they not permitted to interfere in the star duels? Yet they can kill me. Su Xing already used his identity as a star master to steal the Blooming Water Sword Sect's heavenly book. This could be considered as meddling with the other factions. Then, that faction would be justified in handling him. A complete star general does not receive the Liangshan Maiden's protection. Little E replied. Su Xing was stunned. It was only natural that he knew what a complete star general was. Past the third phase, all the star generals would truly sink into close quarters combat. At this time, the Liangshan Maiden would no longer limit the course of the star duels at all. Because after the passing of the third phase Evil Smiting Hall, all the star generals would at least already be able to mature into Liangshan's most lofty. They could not be said to be unequaled, but being killed was not that simple. Su Xing immediately understood the current situation. Because of Wu Song's special causes behind obtaining her star beast in the second phase, it could be said that she became a complete star general in advance. In this case, she would naturally suffer the surveillance of the other cultivators. However, it was not really reconnaissance into Wu Song's star energy, but her white and black unicorn tiger, rather. A spirit beast that came from this sort of star world could mature alongside its master. Obtaining one was no different from letting a sect's influence greatly swell. But it was not necessarily completely an advantage. If a sect did this, they would be met with the assault of the star generals in the next generation of star duels. Because a sect possessing a star beast could be considered interfering with the star duels any way it was put, these star generals would destroy these sects as a matter of course. However, the most high path was the Azure Dragon Territory's #1 school naturally would not fear this kind of threat. Wu Song. A Wu Song that has obtained her star beast. The Extreme Clarity Elder Immortal of the most high path laughed oddly. You unexpectedly dare to walk right into the trap. The white and black unicorn tiger roared, showing snow-white teeth. Wu Xiao shot a glance at Lin Yingmei, then returned to the side of the most high path. With a voice cold like the crunch of snow, you think you can stop your servant? You heavily wounded my apprentice. Leave behind that white and black unicorn tiger, and this old immortal shall let you go. The Extreme Clarity Elder Immortal chuckled, his expression arrogant. Soon after, he said to everyone, this purple thunder monster has obtained the birth treasure outline. This immortal no longer wants it, and you all can take it if you wish, but this Wu Song nearly killed this immortal's apprentice. Today she must pay the price. He said it with such righteousness that it was inspiring, but everyone knew that the Extreme Clarity Elder Immortal was only finding an excuse. From what he said, the other sects could not easily fight with him and could only give up on that legendary white and black unicorn tiger, secretly expressing what a pity it was. But that purple thunder monster was not bad either. He reportedly had the devil-suppressing steel and the ghost's god's bane. Your servant truly is fortunate to be able to have this many elder seniors confront your servant. Ha! Su Xing laughed as he cupped his fists. Cease your babbling, you wretch. This palace's master is the Grand Azure Dragon True Immortal. How could you commit this kind of shameless shoddiness? Zhao Hanyan shouted, secretly helping Su Xing. When Xian Zhenzi heard Zhao Hanyan say as such, he was somewhat embarrassed. In any case, he was supercluster late stage with the title of True Immortal. To have him use his greater powers to take unfair advantage of someone smaller than him, he could not do so. Wait until the next phase. You had best keep your life and wait for this palace to personally help herself to you. Zhao Hanyan's words made Dong Junqing sneer continuously. How could she not discern that Princess Ling Yan was doing her utmost to protect Su Xing? Xian Zhenzi spoke in monastic terms. To every fellow he bowed his head. The true immortal palace will not interfere in the star duels. We are leaving. As he spoke, flying swords lifted, and the true immortal palace left. Queen, let us also return. The heavenly ice holy palace shall also not wade in these muddy waters. The Queen Lady of Ice held no interest whatsoever in the purple thunder monster. Though the devil-suppressing steel was fine, it was still the ghost's god's bane that was the hot potato which would scald the hand. Seeing Gong Kaiwei also disinterested, the cold cloud folded and left these white deer highlands. Obtaining a heaven-swallowing silver dragon was enough, and the blue wave palace helplessly could only also depart. Then, the divine wood valley, the transforming life door and the heavenly river sword school saw the four great sword sects already were concerned with the purple thunder monster. They as small schools naturally lacked the qualifications to say anything more. So as to avoid falling into a misunderstanding someday, whatever great against small that was, just use many to take unfair advantage of few. With this, the White Deer Highlands was left with only the most high path, the Lifeless Hall, the Divine Flame Sword Sect, and the Tai Sword Sect. This ancestor is very fond of this purple thunder monster's ghost god's bane. It seems Emperor Liang is also searching for this, so it would be better to allow this ancestor to help you safeguard it. Ancestor Longevity chuckled. Yen Wudao, this is how you treat the benefactor who saved your life? Su Xing calmly said. He flicked his hand, and a lifeless jade marble arrived in Yen Wudao's hand. Among those present, only Yen Wudao and his star general made Su Xing uneasy. Thus, his plan was to first make him leave. Originally, Su Xing planned to use the jade pendant to return to the abode, but now it seemed things had seemingly changed. When Yen Wudao received the jade, he immediately recalled the Su Xing that saved his life that day. Stunned, his expression was speechless. He then used sound transmission, and Elder Longevity froze. Coldly smiling, today's matters here are resolved. Wudao, let us leave. The lifeless hall departed. Finally, only 3 large schools remained. As far as the extreme clarity Elder Immortal was concerned, their departure was not worth much mention. This old Taoist was completely focused on Wu Song's white and black unicorn tiger. With this spirit beast, that white tiger territory's remoteness would allow him to go as he pleased. It could not be said for certain whether he could find life-extending spirit fruit. In spite of the extreme clarity Elder Immortal's supercluster late stage, his lifespan was nearly exhausted with no other choice. For Ancestor Huai Mu and Ancestor Heavenly Fire, Su Xing was their most hated person. The former lost his disciple. If he did not kill the purple thunder monster, how would he rid himself of the hate in his heart? The latter was because Zhao Heng had been repelled, which made the Divine Flame Sword sect waste its dowry. Of course, on an even deeper layer of his desire to kill, it was because the heaven-tearing gold dragon they so painstakingly worked to kill had been stolen. If it was not for these 3 matters happening at the same time, they would not necessarily have interest in meddling in this star duel. The 10 large schools were left with 3 after 7 left, but those 3 had supercluster stage monsters. Among them was the extreme clarity Elder Immortal, who was even the supercluster stage's #1 cultivator. Any way it was put, the situation was extremely dire. Wu Song, you heavily wounded this immortal's disciple. If you leave that white and black unicorn tiger behind, this immortal could let you go. The extreme clarity Elder Immortal manner was mild as wind and light as clouds. How dignified! Shower chuckled. With golden star weapon in hand, its light was lofty. Since we dared to come plunder, could it be that we fear you? Wu Xiao did not reply to the extreme clarity Elder Immortal's words. Her cold pupils continuously were faintly hung on Linning, making Su Xing see it as very unsettling. Let's go, Su Xing firmly shouted. He grabbed Linning Maze and fled on his riding sword. How could the three great sects, three supercluster monster be things he could contend against as he currently was? Even if they had wasted the majority of their essence energy killing the dragons, their remaining power was sufficient to squeeze him to death. His sword light instantly escaped 1,000 meters away. Ancestor Huai Mu showed gloom. Not urgently yet not slowly, he asked. Ancestor Heavenly Fire, we shall go kill this purple thunder monster together. How about we enforce justice on the behalf of heaven? We shall divide his possessions evenly. Su Xing using the blooming water divine thunder to break his mountain ability a moment ago made Ancestor Huai Mu somewhat fearful. Now, he recalled a few instances where this appetizer of a purple thunder monster shockingly reached across ranks to kill people. Ancestor Bailey and the Ghost Cavalry King, either one was able to destroy this galaxy cultivator with a flip of their hand, yet they were planted right onto the purple thunder monster's hand. Ancestor Huai Mu's anger had passed, and he had calmed. This old man has already wanted render a service to the public by getting rid of this menace. Ancestor Heavenly Fire nodded. The two ancestors did not mind Wu Song or their disciples. Two bolts of escape light together launched a pursuit. When the cultivators spectating in the surroundings of the White Deer Highlands saw the supercluster stage monsters become hostile, they hastily scrambled as far away as they cowed. A faint wind blew. Su Xing turned his head to look and spotted Ancestor Heavenly Fire was catching up, his hand releasing a burning flame. Lin Yingmei coldly grunted and was just about to go on the attack. Su Xing held her back with one arm, curbing her urge. Then he turned around and launched the blooming water divine thunder to block this burning fire. Afterwards, he waved the astral treasure in his hand, releasing sky-filling arc of flame. A firefly's glow dares to strive for splendor against the sun and moon. Ancestor Heavenly Fire laughed. He drew a circle using both hands, and the astral treasure's flame was easily ripped apart. On his empty palm, countless rainbow shadows pierced through the flames. Then, they were shaken back by his power, transforming into a fire dragon barrier that encircled Su Xing in the blink of an eye. Su Xing's expression changed. Ancestor Heavenly Fire coldly grinned, striking at sword Chant's hand seal. The flames surrounding Su Xing immediately became a raging clinging fire sword. Surprisingly, 56 of these densely packed themselves to encircle Su Xing. Just as Ancestor Heavenly Fire was about to clench his hands, to make the flying swords burn Su Xing to ash, Ancestor Huai Mu yelled, "Heavenly Fire, don't you burn away his astral bag." Lin Yingmei's Arctic Star Serpent Spear released ice, snow and cold air to obstruct this inferno. If it was not for Ancestor Heavenly Fire's star energy being greatly exhausted, perhaps this would not have been that simple. Overestimating yourself, Ancestor Heavenly Fire formed another seal, and more than 50 of the clinging fire flying swords attacked with greater ferocity. Lin Yingmei was in imminent danger. Su Xing grit his teeth when he saw. He shouted loudly, "Do you not want my things? Your servant shall give them to you." After he spoke, Su Xing flicked his hand, and a bag was thrown out. Ancestor Heavenly Fire and Ancestor Huai Mu saw this at the same time and simultaneously pounced, wanting to seize the chance. Ancestor Huai Mu had continuously stared fixedly at Su Xing's movements, so he was faster than Ancestor Heavenly Fire. In an instant, he snatched the bag, and scanning with his divine intent, he was furious. This is an empty bag. Ancestor Heavenly Fire caught the bag, and then he also knew they had been toyed with. In a split second, an air-shattering noise boomed. It was a galaxy stage artifact in the form of a seal. Ancestor Heavenly Fire said, "How laughable." He waved a hand to split this artifact into dust, but just as Ancestor Heavenly Fire prepared to launch a sword array to grind Su Xing apart, he suddenly saw 3 red lights closely following behind the seal. Not good. Ancestor Heavenly Fire had only just reacted. Swish, swish, swish. 3 crossbow bolts red as blood broke straight through his defenses and pierced into his stomach. Ancestor Heavenly Fire yelled, only feeling a pain that was as if his four limbs, his bones, his entire body's meridians were being ripped apart. Raising his head to look, he discovered Su Xing already had another servant girl beside him. She grasped a crossbow in her hand, and that blood-red crossbow had been fired from that hand. A star general, ancestor Heavenly Fire violently spat out a mouthful of blood. Scowling in anger, his sword art loudly covered Su Xing, and a range of 100 meters could only see the sky seemingly burn. Heavenly Fire, are you all right? Ancestor Huai Mu had lingering fears. He had not expected this cultivator that looked as if he would buckle at the first blow would unexpectedly also have the skillful star. This old man will kill him. Ancestor Heavenly Fire bared his teeth. He shouted, and the swords were like burning fire. But just at this instant, there suddenly was a cyan hurricane that abruptly rolled by. These hurricane winds rolled about his sword-chant surroundings. Surprisingly, it unbelievably extinguished the burning flames. Su Xing, Lin Yingmei, and Yan Yizhen once again appeared. Although they seemingly had gone through a harrowing ordeal, overall, they were considered to have pulled through. Essence-swallowing dragons? Ancestor Heavenly Fire could not contain himself. How is there this kind of ancient demon dragon? Don't think you can hurt Big Brother. And Suan at this moment rushed over, unleashing 100 essence-swallowing dragons. These essence-swallowing dragons assumed an air of essence chi, for this fire energy was classified as one type of that. Ancestor Heavenly Fire's burning flames suddenly turned into treats for the essence-swallowing dragons. The sword chant assumed its original appearance, and Ancestor Heavenly Fire hastily recalled it. The essence-swallowing dragons became a cyan hurricane that violently surged. Ancestor Heavenly Fire was furious, and a red ring flew out from his palm. This treasure was known as Fire Dragon Mirror, depicted as a dragon biting its own tail. It could be said to be the strongest magic weapon Ancestor Heavenly Fire had aside from the Boundless Sun Pearl. This counted as good fortune for Su Xing, for the Boundless Sun Pearl had been eaten confronting the heaven-tearing gold dragon. Otherwise, how could Su Xing have persevered for this long? Ancestor Heavenly Fire threw the Fire Dragon Mirror, and the ring became a blazing dragon. The essence-swallowing dragons could consume any of the elementary forces in the world. The only way to hand them was to delay these essence-swallowing dragons from eating. Thus, history had the legend that essence-swallowing dragons exceeding 100 million had no rival. Thinking about it, 100 million essence-swallowing dragons simply could consume the entire Liangshan into an infertile wasteland. And Suan hastily recalled the essence-swallowing dragons, and the fire dragon went to bite Su Xing once it saw its objective had disappeared. Lin Yingmei raised her spear and jumped forward to stab it. Ancestor Heavenly Fire coldly harumphed, and the clinging fire sword directly went on the attack. Under this precarious battle tempo, Ancestor Heavenly Fire suddenly sensed something amiss. He instinctively dodged, only to see two flying claws overshoot him from behind. The claws had a cold light, twinkling the light of a single star. Hoodwinking flying claws? Ancestor Heavenly Fire was stunned. Those flying claws turned around like snakes. The ancestor yelled loudly, and his spiritual pressure unexpectedly directly shook the flying claws back. Watch this, young ladies. A silhouette powerfully emerged, and who else could it be besides the thief star Shi Yuan? Then, with the boots refined from the clear sky feathers, this jump of the flea on a drum brought her right to Ancestor Heavenly Fire's body, and she thrust in 5 needles that were fine as hair. Ancestor Heavenly Fire's whole body hurt, and he realized then those needles were absolutely not normal items. Otherwise, it would have been impossible to break through his defenses. Enraged, he sent Shi Yuan flying 100 meters with one palm. The sword chant reversed to hack at her. At such a close range, Shi Yuan did not have any room to resist, and her whole body became a specter. How was it another star general? Ancestor Heavenly Fire did not have enough time to be astonished, for he heard another crackling cold wind. But when he wanted to turn around to dodge, those needles inside his body activated, and his whole body violently ached. Careful! Ancestor Huai Mu wanted to lend Ancestor Heavenly Fire a helping hand, but he heard a bang. He saw a girl hold a strange artifact, pointed at him. A conical projectile shot out, and Ancestor Huai Mu prepared to directly use his power to pulverize this projectile. That projectile exploded, and a chill that reached to the bone rolled over. This cold air was like a spider's thread as it went past his body, and he became incapable of budging. If his cultivation was in peak condition, this chill naturally was nothing to him, but having just killed a dragon, his vitality was greatly depleted. The two star energies were not necessarily as robust as Su Xing's, and to break away from this cold required some time. But it was this time that had been seized by Su Xing. Ancestor Heavenly Fire screamed. His movements slowed greatly. Lin Yingmei rode the wind, the Arctic Star Serpent spear running through Ancestor Heavenly Fire's skull with nearly no resistance. Ancestor Heavenly Fire opened his eyes wide, not daring to believe this. He had wanted to use his sword chant with his dying breath, but Su Xing followed closely behind, attacking him with the blooming water divine thunder. Ancestor Heavenly Fire's organs were immediately shaken to pieces, and he was incapable of resisting anymore. The divine flame sword sex generational founder thus sullenly became a departed soul. Heavenly Fire. Ancestor Huai Mu was aghast, his face losing its color. Su Xing smirked at him. A galaxy stage cultivator unexpectedly sneered at a supercluster stage cultivator, but this made Ancestor Huai Mu shudder in fear. Ancestor Heavenly Fire's death was interlocked. In such a short time, a supercluster middle stage cultivator had fallen, and Ancestor Huai Mu himself did not dare believe it. From the moment the purple thunder monster took Lin Chong to escape, they already had fallen into a trap. This galaxy stage monster did not wish to run, he wished to kill them. Ancestor Huai Mu's eyes showed fear. He saw the star crest on Su Xing's forehead change without pause, and shockingly he had 3 more. 3 girls formed a triangle to obstruct him. One raised a spear. One called for dragons. One held a fan. The foreheads of the 3 girls had stars. Shockingly, they were star generals. Just who the hell are you? Ancestor Huai Mu loudly bellowed. How could you possibly sign 3 for 5-star generals? Ask your question in the next life. Su Xing's palms were empty, and then 2 bolts of purple thunder dragon claws bit at Ancestor Huai Mu. Go! Ancestor Huai Mu raised his sword chant, and a blue light circulated, spinning around his whole body. It broke this purple thunder dragon capture, but he no longer wanted to battle Su Xing, instinctively wanting to flee, Su Xing instantly destroying the far more powerful Ancestor Heavenly Fire truly left too terrifying an impression. Wu Xinjie waved the fan, adding on speed is a crucial asset in war. Su Xing and the rest's speeds instantly surpassed his. An ice-cold silhouette stopped Ancestor Huai Mu, and Lin Yingmei's spear tip stabbed out with cold snow speckled upon it. And Suwen's essence-swallowing dragons also surged again for the kill. Ancestor Huai Mu raised a green banner known as Eyes Obscured by a Single Leaf, 3, which was a figure concealing supreme grade magic weapon. Waving the banner, his figure immediately disappeared without a trace. Careful! Su Xing's divine intent swept. Suddenly, he heard a scream. With a look, he saw Ancestor Huai Mu had reappeared 100 meters away, but his entire body had been stuck full of golden needles. The form was extremely frightening, and following the path of the golden needles, Su Xing and the rest looked. To their shock, the one who appeared was not a stranger, but it was Tang Lianxin. Su Xing continued to spectate the situation from below. It was not that he did not want to help, but he actually could not muster any strength. He did not have that sort of innate skill of star generals that reached across ranks for killing blows. Right now, he was but galaxy early stage. To confront a supercluster late stage cultivator, to use a game term to describe things, this extreme clarity elder immortal was practically a Zumatoris, whereas Su Xing counted as a level 20 warrior holding an Azura and had just equipped heavy armor, which simply could not break through the defenses. The sole attack that was effective would probably be the thunder as a pinpoint strike inside the blooming water divine thunder law book, divine thunder slaying the dragon. However, having experienced the plundering of the Purple Star birth outline and the exhaustion of killing 2 founders, even if he was signed with 5-star generals, he was unable to bear that consumption, especially when Yan Yizhen and Shi Yuan were both forced into the star nest. Su Xing's strength was also greatly diminished, and now, the divine thunder slaying the dragon that he could use twice at most meant it was almost game over. Of course, the reason why Su Xing came was not purely to spectate. Possessing the red ink iron certificate, it could not be said for sure if this unequaled divine tool could help Lin Yingmei at a critical moment. Su Xing condensed blooming water divine thunder in his hand, the purple chi expansively twisting on his arm, ready at any time and waiting for the right chance. Suddenly seeing the extreme clarity elder immortal bring out a dark miraculous spirit jade tree, Su Xing was greatly alarmed. Hearing Wu Xinjia's shocked voice, Su Xing was even more astonished. These days he was proficient in weapon refinement, so Su Xing naturally was not as inexperienced when he first began. Hearing it was the miraculous Bodhi tree was a surprise, for this was a prehistoric spirit treasure. Liangshan continent's magic weapons had many classifications, but there more or less were 3 types: magic, star, and ancient. Magic included artifacts and magic weapons, the sort of items cultivators commonly used. Their varieties were many, and not much needed to be clearly said about their grades. Then, the astral treasures and astral tools of the star naturally were born when the star duels began. Standing a rank above magic, their users did not face any restrictions. They could be said to be Liangshan continent's most legendary items. And the final was ancient. This type was somewhat complex. They were treasures left behind by the ancient, immemorial, and ancient prehistory eras before the era of the star duels. Ancient lost treasures could be refined into any stage of usable magic weapon. Immemorial secret treasures reportedly each were magic weapons that had some forbidden or overwhelming power. And lastly, the ancient prehistory type counted as Liangshan continent's pinnacle treasure. These treasures had been refined in the prehistoric era. They possessed the entire world's most primitive and pure powers that were extremely strong. For this reason, prehistoric spirit treasures were also called innate magic weapons. Besides star generals, there were no restrictions on its usage by cultivators. On the prehistoric spirit ceiling list, this miraculous Bodhi tree was a rank 8 treasure at the minimum. In addition, it seemed this treasure was not a fake. Surprisingly, it was a genuine prehistoric spirit treasure. Su Xing silently said, "Wow." This supercluster number 1 cultivator was robust in capital, as expected, worthy of the name Most High Path. Having such abnormal items, this miraculous Bodhi tree certainly could break 10,000 techniques under heaven. The narration of this matter was complicated, but it was something in the matter of a second. At this time, a thick, multicolored propitious vapor completely wrapped the surrounding dozen li, yet it did not disperse. Even Lin Yingmei, Wu Xiyo, Shower were wrapped within. The treasure light twinkled with the luster of gems, 7 colors of divine light rolling, like a nebula. A situation where not one bit of the inside could be seen. The multicolored vapors gradually rose, went from top to bottom, and easily eliminated the murderous aura of 3 top-notch star generals. The extreme clarity elder immortal flung the miraculous Bodhi tree, its vapor becoming a pure blue galaxy of silver that struck the 3 girls. This galaxy was intangible and immaterial, but it beat on their star energy defense as if it was nothing. The 3 star generals immediately were flung down. This miraculous Bodhi tree broke their protective star energy, and the 3 clarities sword chant once again rose. Just as it was about to execute them cleanly, Su Xing at this time could no longer watch with folded arms. Even if he could not shake this old monster, his defenses were not weak. Several green, lustrous talismans were thrown out. Those talismans turned a green, spiderweb-like thread in midair, clinging onto all of the flying swords. These talismans were taken from Ancestor Huai Mu's astral bag, and they were supreme-grade talismans that dominated flying swords. "Run quickly!" Su Xing shouted at them. This supercluster old monster was too fierce. They simply were not his opponent. Then he launched his final 2 bolts of divine thunder slays the dragon. The purple thunderbolt broke through the jade divine light, then rushed straight at the extreme clarity elder immortal. The extreme clarity elder immortal raised his right hand, and swinging the miraculous Bodhi tree, its light flashed. They heard an explosion, and the blooming water divine thunder was blown to pieces, going up in smoke. The miraculous Bodhi tree gracefully floated, without the slightest bit of fiery chi. It completely did not have the obvious enormous power of other magic weapons. Its treasure light attacked them, carrying a cruel and tyrannical chi. The extreme clarity elder immortal easily went over, just like a dust speck, easily and calmly. He truly had the position of the adept of the generation, however. To use the prehistoric spirit treasure required super deep magic energy for support. From watching this elder immortal alone kill the firmament Cyan dragon, perhaps even if his cultivation was number 1, he could not support it for long. Thinking of running? The extreme clarity elder immortal strangely grinned. 12 jadeite mirrors suddenly floated out, forming an immense space that enveloped the group within. The mirrors released blue flames that continuously reflected. This was his strongest forbid-dance magic weapon, jade light-colored glass mirror. The mirror's flames directly squeezed towards the group. Wu Xinjie used star energy to do her utmost to go block it. Fortunately, the knowledge star's star energy reserves continuously were unused, so the attack stopped after a while. The extreme clarity elder immortal once again shook the miraculous Bodhi tree. Its divine light dropped. The group's defenses immediately crumbled. The blue flames of the jade light-colored glass mirror surged over. Even if they did not die, perhaps they would be burnt into crippled states. Su Xing activated the second territory-breaking talisman, which could break any forbid dance or seal, and this jade light-colored glass mirror was no exception. Breaking the forbid dance of the jade light-colored glass mirror, Su Xing brought the girls immediately flying upwards, escaping the murderous bloodthirst of this mirror. The extreme clarity elder immortal was taken aback. He did not expect the purple thunder monster would surprisingly have this many supreme grade talismans, leaving him secretly frightened. This purple thunder monster is really, as the rumors say, the treasures on him must be numerous. The extreme clarity elder immortal flipped his hand, and the jade light-colored glass mirror again was about to reorganize its forbid dance. The territory-breaking talisman could break through temporarily, but his supreme-grade magic weapon could be used countless times. It was time to see if his territory-breaking talismans could endure the consumption. Old monster, you have made this great ant very displeased. Just at this moment, Shower's voice coldly shouted. Both her hands clenched that golden, glinting weapon. The star energy of the girl's whole body condensed onto the weapon, her eyes shining with a golden light. The extreme clarity elder immortal knew from a look she was about to use the Star General's yellow rank move, yet he was neither rushed or slow as he held onto the miraculous Bodhi tree. No matter how outstanding your star magic is, a light wave is all this immortal needs to break it. Hey! Shower yelled. The weapon rose into the air. The golden light from the weapon shot straight out and up into the skies. The extreme clarity elder immortal clutched the miraculous Bodhi tree, waiting for the right opportunity. Nearly within the blink of an eye, 12 golden lights fell from the sky. The front portion of these golden lights changed forms, as if they were the legendary golden Qilins. That speed truly was shocking, and Wu Xinjie's expression changed. Yellow rank move. Qilin fall sky flash. Not good. The extreme clarity elder immortal's expression changed. He hastily shook the miraculous Bodhi tree. Its divine light was multicolored, its propitious vapors sprinkling a galaxy. But this Qilin fall skyflash's speed was too fast. The 12 golden lights were not aimed at the extreme clarity elder immortal, but, shockingly, the jade light-colored glass mirror. The divine light swept towards the close's 2 golden lights, but the other 10 were like divine soldiers. With a Qilin's roar, they fell into the colored mirrors. With a shattering sound, the colored glass mirrors fragmented. The treasure light broke down, and the blue flames were extinguished. The magic weapon immediately dimmed. To destroy this immortal's magic weapon, this immortal wants your life. The extreme clarity elder immortal's complexion was pale. With a loud yell, the miraculous Bodhi tree and flying swords together flew over. The most high jade clarity sword's sword light scattered, simply overwhelming. Lin Yingmei raised her spear to block it, but the elder immortal struck a hand seal. The sword light slowly changed, like 10,000 swords that pierced her body. Mei! Wu Xiao cried out in fear. Lin Yingmei was also incapable of holding out. Her figure scattered like light smoke. Su Xing's head hurt, and he knew that Lin Yingmei had also entered the star nest. Hey! Wu Xiao's eyes had a furious expression, and the noble frost demonic lotus directly broke the most high jade clarity sword array. Su Xing silently cursed her stupidity. The other supercluster stage old monster possessed the miraculous Bodhi tree, so what was the point of her going all out? The extreme clarity elder immortal that possessed the miraculous Bodhi tree simply was not something the Star General could hit as she currently was. Nice try. The extreme clarity elder immortal shook the miraculous Bodhi tree, as Su Xing had anticipated. The noble frost demonic lotus was but only 2 stars. It simply was incapable of stopping the prehistoric spirit treasure's might. Wu Xiao vomited a mouthful of blood, and her figure fell like a phoenix with broken wings. She was wide open, and the extreme clarity elder immortal was about to easily execute Wu Xiao. Su Xing was incapable of watching her die without saving her. He flew forwards, wrapping himself around Wu Xiao as he turned his body. The Wu Xiao that had been brushed several times by the Bodhi was incomparably weak, and being embraced by Lin Chang's master, her body struggled. Su Xing paid her no mind. If she died, then would Lin Yingmei not have wasted all of her effort, and then, the sword light fell straight down. And Suan called the essence swallowing dragons to block the old monster's attack. Cyan winds rolled against the sword light, buying Su Xing some time. The extreme clarity elder immortal pointed, and green light suddenly condensed above Suan's head, forming a huge sword that swung at her. And Suan's expression changed. Suddenly, golden light gathered right above the tip of Suan's hand, forming a similarly large sword that blocked the extreme clarity elder immortal's sword chant. It was Tang Lianxin. The extreme clarity elder immortal oddly smiled. His spirit energy pressed against them, and the sword's power violently swept, forcing the group to repeatedly defend. Seeing him so harshly vicious, Su Xing already planned to use the red ink iron certificate. Just at this moment of danger, from the horizon, suddenly came the sound of someone composing a song. The red watches the molt of the gentleman, I wish even more to ask of heaven. Rouse from a dream the lonely crane of the Hing River. The gentleman uses thus to bow to the immortal stoops over. 5. The mysterious song was uninterrupted, winding straight through the horizon. Although this range of 100,000 li of plains had been enveloped by the green boundaries of the miraculous Bodhi tree, divine light, propitious vapors, and a drizzle, the song was clear. Every person could hear each word and phrase distinctly. An aroma floated about, and the heavenly song drifted over. Everyone instinctively redirected their lines of sight. They saw that span of sky and cloud roll open, and there was a beautiful and petite girl that was like cloud. She wore a refined, yet modest attire, and her hand held a multicolored sword. The rings along the sides of her head had a fragrance, and it seemed she was like an immaculate hermit adept. But what made them all surprised was not that mysterious song of hers, nor was it how she mysteriously appeared. Rather, it was that she was without a flying sword, yet she wandered the clear skies as if she tread on the ground. The clear skies were like a dragon that supported her feet from underneath, such that those legendary supervoid cultivators were merely mediocre. They saw the girl's forehead shine with a multicolored star crest, the star projecting a dragon. Across the 108 star maidens of Maiden Mountain, to be able to wander leisurely among the clouds in the second phase, to sing charming and refined songs, there was but one star general that could achieve this. The ranked 4th leisure star. Dragon in the clouds, Gong Sun Sheng. And thus, we reach a turning point in the story in terms of translation. The context of this passage makes clear that artifact should have been magic tool, and that it should always have been star treasure and star tool. Would you guys like to see the vocabulary changed going forward? The Most High Path's remaining dozens of disciples looked at each other in dismay. One of the disciples stepped forward to ask, "Senior brother, what do we do next?" A scholarly youngster nodded. "Senior brother Jinyun is injured, so we should return first. The ancestral master naturally does not need our worries." The other disciple deeply held this to be so, for ancestral master extreme clarity was the number supercluster, and he even had a prehistoric spirit treasure with him. Even if it was Wu Song, she could not possibly be his opponent. "Senior brother He Wei," Bing Qingxian suddenly shouted. "Junior brother Qingxian, what is it?" The cultivator named He asked with an expressionless face. "I saw something strange about the magic clouds over there, and I fear there may be somewhat of an incident. It would be better for us to go help the ancestral master," Bing Qingxian gravely said. His words made the other disciples amused. "Qingxian, it has been 2 years since you have come to this sect, and for you to say this, senior brother will not look into this any further." Cultivator He coldly said, "The Clear Void Most High Path is the Azure Dragon Territory's #1 great sect, and if we're to let others know that we had to outnumber and encircle, exactly. Even the Ancestral Master would blame us. Right? Ancestral Master Extreme Clarity certainly is a very stern person. For us disciples to go help the Ancestral Master, do you want us to die? Qingxian, do not believe that the headmaster cares about you. It is you who does not know things." The other disciples each agreed one after another. This Bing Qingxian had joined the school for 2 years, but because his talent surpassed others, he received recognition and was even imparted the Most High Jade Clarity Sword chant by the headmaster himself, which provoked some jealousy from the others. Seeing him so naive and unexpectedly suggest they go help the Ancestral Master, they could not help but mock him. Ancestral Master Extreme Clarity was the Azure Dragon Territory's #1. For this group to go help, at that time, they would certainly be flayed by the Ancestral Master. In addition, this many people surrounding and killing a star general perhaps would enrage the Liangshan Maiden, and the gain would not make up for the losses. But Qingxian feels there apparently has been some changes. Bing Qingxian was resolute. "Do not speak thoughtlessly. Ancestral Master Extreme Clarity receives the splendor of the sun and moon. How could we fathom him? Now that junior brother Jinyuan has sustained heavy injuries, we should return to save his life." Cultivator He shouted. "Could it be you feel the Ancestral Master needs your consideration?" Bing Qingxian nodded. "Qingxian understands. And we must quickly return." Sword lights traveled west. If Bing Qingxian had persevered a bit more, then perhaps he could have changed his destiny, but the crowd was infuriated. Heaven's might existed, but Bing Qingxian had no choice but to go with the flow. However, this Bing Qingxuan's eyes narrowed, and a shadow flew and entered him. No one noticed this minute change. Dragon in the clouds Gong Sun Sheng. 2. Everyone was shocked. Seeing Gong Sun Sheng's forehead overflow with multicolored light, it was evident she had forced herself to a most perfect state. The girl's complexion did not have any ripples, and when they saw her wave the destined star weapon Pinebrand Ancient Sword, 3, that was in her hand, the spirit chi of the world and the multicolored light swept forward like an arm. The green clouds of the sky turned into the shape of a dragon, and this green cloud dragon bared its teeth and claws, vivid and lifelike, a glimpse into a dragon's might. Under her command, it rolled towards the Extreme Clarity Elder Immortal. So what if the dragon in the clouds has come? This immortal shall destroy you all at once. The Extreme Clarity Elder Immortal shook the miraculous Bodhi tree, dully saying, "With this many top-notch star generals, it may be possible for this immortal to advance to supervoid stage." The miraculous Bodhi tree released thousands of streaks of jade light. This bright and colorful blue light easily broke the incoming Cyan dragon. But the dragon in the clouds Gong Sun Sheng slowly stepped through the sky, calmly and easily waving the Pinebrand Ancient Sword to no end. Cyan dragons flowed continuously, seemingly never-ending. They saw in those dozens of li of sky, all the clouds became dragons that flocked over. The extreme clarity elder immortal also continuously waved the miraculous Bodhi tree. The sky blossomed with green light, like a pervasive iridescence. The cyan dragons one by one were broken by this light. The scene was extremely spectacular. This was Gongsun Xing's yellow rank star magic. The cloud-wandering azure dragon turn. Wu Xinjie yelled out. Magic energy star generals generally had lots of star magics, but to actually use the yellow rank, that one was an outstanding user of star magic, a top-notch expert, like a martial force heavenly star. With one use, they would lose a great amount of energy, so they would not use it before the critical moment. They never thought that the moment the dragon in the clouds Gongsun Xing appeared, she would use her yellow rank magic cloud-wandering azure dragon turn without saying another word. This strategy was honestly that clean and nimble. She wants to break the old monster's magic energy. Shower let out a breath. Right now is a good chance to kill him. Wu Xinjie hastily said. Shower had used one Qilanfall Sky Flash and had her qi greatly exhausted. Furthermore, she had struggled against the extreme clarity elder immortal for that long, which left her spent. To break through the most high jade clarity sword array was still possible, but she was incapable of attacking her way to him. Wu Xiao threw off Su Xing's embrace. She trembled and shivered, a cause for concern. From the looks of it, the greatest chance was to actually deplete their star energy, but the only one capable of moving swift as flying was Su Xing. However, to let Su Xing take advantage of a supercluster number 1 cultivator in close quarters, Su Xing's girls were absolutely unwilling to easily go about this. Your servant wants his life today. Wu Xiao's body techniques warped, her running hair whirling in the wind. That noble frost demonic lotus in her hand was completely dyed black. The harm star's forehead had a dim star crest, so clearly, she was staking everything on this attack. When Shower saw, she raised her golden weapon and followed closely behind. Since the red ink iron certificate can only be used once in the birth outline anyways, I might as well go help her. Su Xing whispered to himself. Tang Lianxin wanted to call out to Su Xing, yet she hesitated, shaking her head instead. Her hands clasped together, and a ball of liquid gold appeared out of nowhere. This golden liquid was like a flower patch that formed in midair, only to turn into fine golden needles. It was very mysterious, but at this time everyone's hearts were on the extreme clarity elder immortal, so no one paid attention to her. 5. The extreme clarity elder immortal sensed Gongsun Xing was currently dissipating his magic energy. The miraculous Bodhi tree lost its luster and dimmed with each use, and the clear light slowly became faded. Its swings were not that light compared to the very beginning, as if it was a casual pinch. After destroying the 1,000 cyan-colored dragons, the extreme clarity elder immortal spat some essence blood onto a talisman, throwing the charm out. It became a giant winged creature, its entire body layered with green scales. It was horse-like, yet not. Its head had a horn, so astonishingly, it was that clarity dark beast. 6. The clarity dark horn shot a blue light, and it opened its mouth to bite Gongsun Xing. What magic energy star generals most feared was close quarters, so the number 1 magic energy star general naturally would be so. The girl's face was expressionless, temporarily halting her magic. The pine-brand ancient sword stopped moving, and a multicolored light attacked, obstructing the clarity dark beast. You still dare to face certain death? The extreme clarity elder immortal's sword chant turned and the miraculous Bodhi tree shook. His magic energy had been greatly consumed, so this shake had lost much of its might. It could not sweep away their attacks, but it forced Wu Xiao and Shower's figures unsteadily back 100 meters. Several tens of thousands of golden needles at this moment shot over like a torrential storm. These golden needles seemed fierce, but were far from as terrifying as Wu Xiao's attacks. The extreme clarity elder immortal only needed to control one of his sword arrays to suppress this. The repeated clanging of striking noises. Su Xing held the intertwined branch sword in one hand and the clinging fire star domain sword in the other as he advanced for an attack. The extreme clarity elder immortal only felt this purple thunder monster was indeed impervious to reason. Seeking out a dead end of his own accord, a galaxy early-stage cultivator unexpectedly dared to challenge him. He flipped his hand, and pure spiritual pressure directly pressed on Su Xing's stomach, giving rise to an increasingly splitting pain. Flying swords twisted to meet him head-on. Su Xing then threw out the last supreme-grade talisman Tai Winding Sword Talisman, 7, to intercept these flying swords. Then, he tossed the intertwined branch sword. The extreme clarity elder immortal used the miraculous Bodhi tree to once again shake Wu Xiao and Shower back, for he very much did not dare to let Wu Song get close. Otherwise, to let her yellow rank style open was a thorough turn of events. Just at this moment, a green sword violently struck his hand. 8. The extreme clarity elder immortal was not careful of this, and the miraculous Bodhi tree immediately flew out of his hands. His expression was greatly panicked, and just as he was about to use his divine intent to retrieve it, Su Xing threw out the weapon removal scroll. The scroll rolled out a white chi that tried assimilated the miraculous Bodhi tree. Originally, for an astral tool to assimilate a prehistoric spirit treasure was a dream. However, with the extreme clarity elder immortal having shaken it this many times, his magic energy was greatly exhausted, and along with the miraculous Bodhi tree's loss of luster did Su Xing's path ease up. The extreme clarity elder immortal then used his divine intent to control the miraculous Bodhi tree to snatch it back, but Wu Xiao and Shower seized their chance. In the blink of an eye, they were about to arrive in front of him, so the extreme clarity elder immortal was left with no choice. He could only direct the flying swords to block them. In this split second, the weapon removal scroll easily assimilated the miraculous Bodhi tree. With the miraculous Bodhi tree stolen, the extreme clarity elder immortal was indeed angry enough to die. He even had the mind to dismember Su Xing into 10,000 pieces. Fearing Su Xing would flee, he no longer had any hesitation. He spat essence chi, and when these fell, a perimeter of 100 li was immediately covered in a clear mist. The most high jade clarity sword array combined into one, with sword tip was impossible to resist against. This was the life cast ability of the extreme clarity elder immortal's life cast sword chant. By using the clear chi to envelope all direction, he could seal the objective within. Even the territory-breaking talisman was useless, so enemies were like beasts caught in a trap, open for slaughter. It was just that the price of its use was very serious. A decrease in his cultivation aside, a complete use of the life-cast sword chant also would cost him spiritual energy that would need to be nurtured once again from the start. Thus, this was the reason the extreme clarity elder immortal was always unwilling to use his trump card until now. In his perspective, with the miraculous Bodhi tree in hand, regardless of whether it was Wu Song or Su Xing, both were as easy to pinch dead as ants. But with this change, matters were completely outside of his expectations. More and more star generals were gathering from all sides, and even the dragon in the clouds had come. After the miraculous Bodhi tree was seized, the extreme clarity elder immortal no longer dared to hesitate. He had to kill these people first and worry about taking back the prehistoric spirit treasure later. Cyan light filled the skies like clouds and mist with flying swords blended within. A cyan hurricane wrapped the three within, and Su Xing greatly felt a not-so-encouraging turn of events. Seeing Wu Xiao and Shower, Su Xing flew and dropped down between them. Wu Xiao froze. Su Xing opened his mouth, and a piece of jade immediately flew out from his body, suspending itself between them. "If you want to kill him, then keep close to me." Su Xing looked at the girl that was cold as frost. With a collapsing sound, as if space had been stirred, the Wu Xinjia, and Suwen and Tang Lianxin below immediately stayed far away from this clear mist space. Several dozen flying swords like a ball of violent whirlwind attacked Su Xing, Wu Xiao and Xiao. With this sort of power, even if it was a 9th-rank demon dragon, it would die without an intact corpse. The extreme clarity elder immortal coldly laughed. In an instant, the clear mist space broke open with a golden light. This light was blindingly dazzling. It drew closer and closer, and the extreme clarity elder immortal instinctively pulled back. He was blinded, and a cold light flashed past. Su Xing and the other two unexpectedly rushed out of the three clarities supreme sword array completely unhurt. The extreme clarity elder immortal flew aside to dodge. It was a pity Wu Song and the rest were arrows at the end of their paths, weary and spent, seizing this chance to approach him only with great difficulty. Yet, it was only one slash that had cut the extreme clarity elder immortal's abdomen. The extreme clarity elder immortals might pressured them upon release. Several Saiyan dragons rolled towards the extreme clarity elder immortal in a counterattack. The extremely clarity elder immortal sneered, but just at this moment, a howling wind suddenly came from the horizon. The dragon in the clouds Gong Sun Sheng turned her head to look. Her expression was shocked, and her silhouette immediately hid. The extreme clarity elder immortal's magic energy was nearly depleted, and in such an intense battle, his senses had greatly dulled. By the time he heard the roaring wind, he already was incapable of dodging. They saw a perfectly straight ray of light fly over from 10,000 li, seemingly ripping open the sky. Before the beam of light arrived, a gale came first. Bang! A sound that pierced through the world. The extreme clarity elder immortal looked down in amazement, in despair and shock. Everyone saw that an arrow had already pierced through his chest. That arrowhead was the crossed teeth of a dragon. Star energy poured into his body, exploding fully out of the tip. This arrow's power terrifyingly ripped all of the extreme clarity elder immortal's resistance to shreds. It was seriously more violent than gods and demons. 10,000 god-killing arrow. The star maidens simultaneously changed. On a breezy mountain 1,000 li away from the White Deer Highlands. Within the mist extending into the distance where clouds rolled around the mountain peak, two girls stood facing the wind. A girl with cascading blue hair wore a court dress and skirt that exposed her shoulders. Her snow-white bodice was also revealed, the twin peaks underneath tall and straight. A long skirt extending from her back trailed along the ground. Her refined large sleeves, the graceful muslin cape, and the delicate jade hairpin, her natural queen-like air fully came into play without restraint. The woman's hand gripped the golden thread feather fan, and her other hand held a mirror. Her seemingly smiling yet not smiling lips and her mocking brow were just like a queen's. She was the noble star little whirlwind Chai Jin. And by Chai Jin's side was a girl whose face was picturesque. Her pupils cut water, and she wore a silver crystal cap. Her black hair was satiny, and though what she wore was odd, her soldierly palace dress was stunning. It was not a beautiful purple snow, but the elegant black and white lines that accentuated her slender figure, especially at this time when the woman had stuck out her chest and sucked in her belly. The stance of her two hands pulling a large bow made an even greater contrast between the woman's physique and her budding grace. The wind lightly rose. Her red lips pursed against her fine, black hair. Her expression was arrogant and dignified, yet it would not make others disgusted. It was as if she took this for granted, particularly now, when she opened the bow to shoot an arrow, standing like a divine soldier. If the first impression was absolute beauty, then the second would be an absolute extraordinary martial air. Light tore through the sea of clouds, gradually ripping them apart. Incredible, incredible. Wanyue, your 10,000 god-killing arrow is indeed frightening. Chai Jin feigned a smile. To be able to finish advancing your destined weapon to 3-star in Phase 2, and to be able to comprehend your dark rank style, perhaps among the 108 sisters, it is possible only the harm star Wu Song who has obtained her star beast can compete against you in the current phase. The girl known as Wanyue stowed her bow. Her brow had a trace of pride, but Chai Jin did not take offense. I truly do not understand. Chai Jin, why do you want to help that man? Wanyue's tone was calm as water. This palace and he somewhat have a relationship. Right now, he must not die. Chai Ling's feather fan hid her face, her tone thoughtful. The woman did not have the desire to be interested. She dully said, since this is so, you and I are no longer in debt to one another. We are sisters, there is no need to be this callous. Chai Jin chuckled. She suddenly closed the fan and inquisitively asked, "This palace actually is slightly perplexed. In the past star duels, according to your identity, Wan Yue, you should already have signed a contract. This birth outline has ended, but you surprisingly are still all alone in the world. Nowadays, star masters are all wine sacks and food bags. 2. That Xie Zhenyun also is merely so." Wan Yue unenthusiastically smiled. Since the previous generation's Wusong could become overlord, then how would it be impossible for me? Chai Ling had an expression of, as expected, it was this. Ever since Wusong became the first to win the star duels without signing a contract, this generation seemed to have many sisters pursue the pilgrim's path. However, how could this pilgrim Wusong's path be that easy to walk? How would we know if we do not walk it? Wan Yue's eyes were harsh, her intentions clear. Truly fascinating, the majestic star that has never signed a contract in 1,000 years has quite uncharacteristically signed a contract, and many of the sisters actually are not willing to contract. Truly fascinating. Chai Ling had even said fascinating twice, but her expression seemed to not be that relaxed. But this palace fears that Liangshan Maiden will not let this go unchecked? The Liangshan Maiden? Wan Yue coldly grunted. Her expression revealed a chill. If she comes, then she comes. I will take her as a means to increase my experience. Chai Ling seemed to be somewhat apprehensive. Wan Yue, if you wish to continue without a contractor's protection, you certainly, no need for your concern, Chai Ling. I have a plan. Wan Yue interrupted her. Chai Ling smiled and nodded. Chai Ling, do you know where Songjiang is? Wan Yue turned around to ask. This palace would never sell this information. Chai Ling smiled but did not reply. She has sought you out? Wan Yue's brows rose. Give this palace 100 billion, then this palace will answer this question of yours. Wan Yue, if you truly wish to find her, the Vermilion Bird territory before the third phase is a great opportunity. Wan Yue's figure dissolved into the mist, and Chai Ling looked at the mirror. In the mirror, a silhouette faintly emerged, and a warm current flowed into her. Chai Ling then knew the red ink iron certificate had returned to her. She smiled, yet did not. Indeed a brazen man. He unexpectedly dared to challenge a supercluster cultivator. He possesses 5 sisters, so you must know what the consequences are. Speaking to very last words, Queen Chai Ling's words had a slightly regretful sigh. The White Deer Highlands, the arrow that swept over from 10,000 li, not only ripped the extreme clarity elder immortal to shreds, it also ripped everyone's thoughts to pieces. Although he knew the miraculous Bodhi tree had been seized, this extreme clarity elder immortal was already an inevitable disaster. However, how could they have expected the way he would die to be so odd and unimaginable? The 10,000 li god-killing arrow. If it was a star general that fired it, this was too terrifying. With the great enemy extinguished, Su Xing had yet to feel relaxed. Suddenly, a chill flowed past his body, and an afterimage pounced at him. Su Xing lifted the intertwined branch sword in his hand to block. A clang resounded. A cold light crossed and flashed. An ice-cold demon-like killing shadow appeared to the side, wanting to sneak attack Su Xing. Her skill at concealment made Su Xing enormously shocked. If it was not for Shi Yuan's concealment that he inherited and his cultivation of the absolute sincerity soul technique, in a war to destroy the enemy, the moment he relaxed truly would mean for a successful sneak attack by the opponent. A red airflow spun in midair, and the surroundings unexpectedly rolled with the force of a whirlwind. It collected above her double-edged sword, and a black light glinted, illuminating the opponent's face as if it was a ghost. Although she wore a black assassin's veil, those chilly, bright eyes and the black combat attire over her graceful curves made clear her identity was a woman. A star general? This was Su Xing's first thought. The light of thunder and fire could be vaguely seen on that double-edged sword. The next moment, the opponent was already once again charging towards Su Xing at high speed. Its speed was very quick, pulling the entire person into nearly a straight line. Behind her was the series of afterimages of the 10,000 techniques realm, and even the surrounding tornado seemed to be propelling her, releasing an intense whistle. It was just in the middle of this breath. She had already disappeared. The girl streaked across the short distance between the two as if she could traverse a room in a single step. The double-edged sword's chilly light illustrated even more clearly the might of this attack. If they received this sort of attack, forget just an inch of flesh, there was a distinct possibility it could bring a fatal wound. The girl's internal assessment was that it was sufficient to kill this already drained man. However, she was actually greatly underestimating Su Xing. If it was close quarters, the Su Xing without star energy was still frightening. He did not pull back. Instead, he made a powerful step forward, his pace very steady. He hardly feared the might of the assassin before him, and in an instant, the two were already touching. Su Xing's movements simply could not compare in speed. Against this sort of high-speed close-range combat, Su Xing knew that the one that was pushed back would only fall into an inescapable grave. He only needed to shrink back a tiny bit, and then the woman would unfold her fangs like a fierce viper. That double-edged blade could pierce through his stomach mid-breath. In actuality, this was indeed correct, as Su Xing thought. The woman had already judged her opponent would be forced to move back and prepared to unleash her attack. But this exceedingly unexpected step forward rather than step back caught the woman somewhat off guard. Audacious. This Star Master was too audacious. Su Xing's slash was avoided by her sidestep, but his other fist landed a direct hit on her chest. It was a pity he had practically no strength left. This punch was far from being able to bring about much of a wound and could only force the woman back a few paces. A slight howl parted the woman's lips. Her purple eyes boiled, and her figure flashed. She was unbelievably fast. The double-edged sword was like the mutually intertwined fangs of a dog, and the attack solidly struck him. Two cold edges cut open Su Xing's chest. Su Xing's heart shivered, and he suddenly backflipped, his right foot poking at her. The girl slightly retreated, and his foot was away from the girl's chin by only an inch. The woman's purple eyes flashed a fleeting seriousness. Her assassination had unexpectedly been foiled. The wind's howling grew stronger. The cold breath forcefully squeezed over. An icy blue cold flame suddenly jumped in front of Su Xing, and the girl disappeared before his eyes. From the side, something again approached like a demon. This entire time had been faster than the blink of an eye and completely soundless. Su Xing saw two scimitars of jumping blue flames cross-slash towards his head. Although it caught him off guard, Su Xing still quickly stooped to dodge this close-range attack. Furthermore, he flipped backwards several times, breaking away from the enemy. The enemy that was like a shadow quickly flashed. Su Xing raised the intertwined branch sword, and a dark green light flickered. Blue and green each clashed, yet Su Xing could not take hold of any advantage. The opponent had two double-edged swords, and he had only a 7-inch short sword. The short sword cut open the opponent's offensive, but the other scimitar closely followed. Su Xing did not dodge, and instead stepped forward. The weapon directly stabbed through a faint outline, and that seemed to be a skull. 3. The scimitar cut onto his body, and the icy blue light on its edge shuddered, seemingly sighing with satisfaction from tasting Su Xing's blood and bone. The woman withdrew a step, which so happened to let Su Xing's short sword brush past her eye by only a few inches. Although the dark green light was not too bright, it illuminated those violet eyes. They were more transparent than those purple crystals, beautiful with praise upon praise, but Su Xing did not plan on staying his hand. The tip cruelly stabbed towards those violet pupils, and the woman's other blade blocked it. Like a contemptible snort, the opponent rapidly shifted forward, very much agile. The double-edged sword was like a tempest that weaved a sword network. Only then did Su Xing feel what was called swift and fierce, what was called quick and violent, and what was called powerless. Su Xing silently shouted his misfortune. This woman that popped up from who knows where was so strange and demanding. That saber edge was crafty as a viper, provoking vital areas. Their hand-to-hand combat seemed endless, but to the others, this was something that happened in a number of breaths. It could be clearly seen how swift the woman's attacks were. If it was not for Su Xing's willpower being sufficiently valiant, and for his own robust military training, he otherwise truly would have found it difficult to predict her rhythm. But this star general honestly was fierce as a deluge instantly about to swallow Su Xing, courting death. Wu Xiao coldly shouted. The noble frost demonic lotus slashed like a sudden snowfall, separating the two. The woman knew that her assassination had failed. She fearfully glanced at Su Xing, then suddenly released a clump of dense, black fog. Everyone's divine intents went wild, tightly locking down the surroundings. They feared she would sneak attack, and even Shower and Wu Xiao were completely on alert, not daring to be careless. A cool breeze blew everywhere. The dragon in the clouds activated a star magic that cleared the area. This is bad, that thief stole the old monster's astral bag. Shower flew into a rage. They had wasted so much sweat and blood to settle this boss, and the final spoils of war had unexpectedly been snatched away. Shower practically had the mind to blow her lid. Everyone looked, and indeed, the Extreme Clarity Elder Immortal's astral bag had conveniently disappeared in the chaos. This star general is too powerful for her to be able to judge the circumstances and prepare adequately, Su Xing thought. Seeing Shower about to go mad with rage, he could not help but be silent. He actually was not at all grieved. Absorbing that prehistoric spirit treasure from the Extreme Clarity Elder Immortal counted as an enormous gain, and as for the items inside the astral bag, he did not care anymore. Let's go back first. I fear more cultivators will come. Su Xing feared this chain reaction would snowball out of control. Of course, that Emperor Liang was the most terrifying, for he had ordered Su Xing's arrest. Tang Lianxin released the fire beacon chariot. Do you want to come together with me back to the abode? Su Xing asked. Shower and Wu Xiao had injuries on their body, and because they did not have star nests, their recovery times would be longer some. I have other things. Next time, I will oblige you. Shower giggled. Her expression was seemingly saying, you snatched my birth treasure outline. Next time, I will for sure snatch it back. Su Xing nodded, and then he asked Wu Xiao. Little sister Ying Mei went through a lot of trouble for you, so you should go look after her. Seeing Wu Xiao wanted to refuse, Shower goaded her. Raising the issue of the majestic star panther head Lin Ying Mei, Wu Xiao then sunk into a rare silence. She wordlessly boarded the fire beacon chariot, sat down cross-legged, closed her eyes and let her long, black hair come undone. Right, little sister. I'll give this to you. Shower threw something which was a purple star-grade chest. During the plunder of the purple star-grade birth outline, she had taken 2 chests in total. One of them had been very fairly split to Wu Song, making Su Xing somewhat have newfound respect for Shower. Wu Xiao did not decline, for declining would appear artificial. Su Xing again went to see the dragon in the clouds Gong Sun Sheng. The delicate and immaculate girl unrolled her multicolored light, and her silhouette then entered the clouds, seemingly as if she had never come. Su Xing originally had wanted to thank her, not only for this, but also for the last time with the Ghost Cavalry King. When Su Xing was dreaming while drifting to unconsciousness, the girl he seemed to have seen was Gong Sun Sheng. Seeing that she was unwilling to come into contact with him, Su Xing was left with no choice. Tang Lianxin raised the fire beacon chariot and flew towards flaming Eastern Island. Thinking back to the plunder of the birth outline, especially the final encounter where they faced the Extreme Clarity Elder Immortal, Su Xing truly sobbed. He had never expected that this many heavenly stars would appear at the end. Su Xing raised his head to look at the sky filled with stars, and then he recalled something. This Song Jiang didn't come. I wonder if she's even still alive. It is certain she is alive, and she must not have a contract yet? Wu Xinjie did not need to think to answer. How are you so certain? Su Xing asked. Could it be that you do not know even this? Wu Xiao's tone was cheerless. Su Xing could hear the girl's heart was very dissatisfied, and he did not know whether she was unhappy he did not know anything about Song Jiang or whether it was because he was Lin Ying Mei's master yet was seemingly unknowing. Su Xing was not angry. Instead, he asked humbly, please advise me. Wu Xiao looked at the knowledge star, then turned her head away. This task of explaining things still fell upon the resourceful star. Young Lord is somewhat unaware, but as Maiden Mountain's top rank, Song Jiang is somewhat of an extremely unusual existence. And it seems she does not have any capabilities to carry experience. Su Xing heard what Lin Yingmei had mentioned before. But does young lord know why Song Jiang would be reputed as the weakest? Why? That is because as long as Song Jiang signs a star dual covenant, then whatever position she is in would be exposed to all the other star generals. Young lord, tell me, a completely unresisting star general is in front of you and killing her would give you an enormous benefit. The leader star protector of righteousness Song Jiang would undoubtedly die. Song Jiang's gathering is unexpectedly this tough. Su Xing truly had some sympathy for Song Jiang. So that is why no dares to sign a contract with Song Jiang these days. But since Song Jiang has such a severe limitation, is there any other special reason? Su Xing felt that there seemed to be another secret. The knowledge star did not know, saying, Liangshan continent has 9 as a restriction regarding reincarnation. Perhaps the 9th star duels would allow Song Jiang to change into something not quite the same. Wu Xinjie did not have much confidence in what she said. Young Lord certainly did form in the 9th star duels the legendary Panther Head's first contract. Wu Xinjie proudly said. From behind came a cold grunt. Remembering there was still the pilgrim who was very unhappy that Lin Chong signed a contract, Wu Xinjie adorably stuck out her tongue. Su Xing smiled, and his gaze returned to the sky, sinking for a long time into deep contemplation. When they returned to the 4-style school, after Su Xing returned the weapon removal scroll to Tang Lianxin, the girl just calmly nodded and went back to the bamboo hut. She was fine with Su Xing being a star master, fine with him having multiple star generals. She was not concerned. And neither did Su Xing go ask her why she came. Inside the Void Immortal's abode, Wu Xiao opened her eyes. When she saw Su Xing's jade pendant was surprisingly purple star grade, her expression could not help but be somewhat odd. Lin Yingmei, Yan Yizhen and Shi Yuan all left the star nest. Through the immortal abode's spiritual influence, they began to tend their wounds. The degree of recovery the three had in the star nest was far from being as fast as the immortal abodes, and Ensuan fully used several times her spiritual aura distribution. She also began to concoct some energy-recovering medicine to assist the 4 in their recuperation. Only with this did Su Xing have time to go inspect his war spoils. In this purple star-grade birth outline, Su Xing's ample harvest exceeded his imagination, and even Wu Xinjie could not help but be startled. A birth treasure outline, a purple star-grade chest, 5 heavenly spirit-grade chests, 2 earthly fiend-grade chests and a supercluster middle-stage old monsters 2 astral bags. Of course, what made Su Xing feel happiness the most was the prehistoric spirit treasure, the miraculous Bodhi tree. This spirit treasure did not have cultivation restrictions, and it could break 10,000 magics under heaven. In his hand, he would simply feel as if the heavens were beneath him. According to what Wu Xinjie said, the prehistoric spirit treasure was apparently more powerful than a purple star astral treasure, but this spirit treasure when used would be even more powerful than an astral treasure. Su Xing only held it in his hand, but he already sensed the star energy in his body was being steadily sucked away. If he shook it, it would definitely turn him into a cripple. This treasure seemed to also have unbearable consumption, but it would be very impressive at the critical moment. Su Xing first of all impatiently opened the purple star chest. The purple light inside pulsed, and a magic cloud overflowed the heavens, as if there was a red-crowned crane's mysterious call. Though not many things were inside the chest, every item was priceless. 3 pieces of purple heart immortal's dragon pill, a purple domain majestic robe, 2 50 pieces of purple gold, 50 liang of relic blade sand, 2 pieces of scarlet dragon flame jade, 2 pieces of ice kite arctic jade, 10 liang of purple immortal sand, Su Xing declared one by one. The purple heart immortal's dragon pill was a wonder drug to cultivate true qi, and with 3 pieces of the purple heart immortal's dragon pill, Su Xing's purple star transforming Cheech could greatly cut down on the time to advance ranks. Perhaps from transforming Cheech he would reach the next stage, true spirit, within just a few months. That purple domain majestic robe was an earthly fiend-grade astral treasure, with purple clouds and auspicious winding, and its propitious light was attached to the clothing itself. It was impervious to sword and spear, but it was a very big help to cultivating true qi. It perfectly complemented the cultivation of the purple star transforming qi. Looking at the purple star chest, the heavenly spirit and earthly fiend chests were not as impressive to Su Xing. Most of them were a few heavenly and earthly treasures, as well as precious stones and crystals. These materials added together actually could give Suwen and Shiyuan's star weapons complete advancement to 2-star. Besides these, there was still a yin-yang jade and a galaxy stage high-grade artifact called Sky-Breaking Spear that was not too bad. Su Xing then unceremoniously dumped out everything in Ancestor Heavenly Fire and Ancestor Huai Mu's astral bag. The majority was materials, gold, purple gold and such. There were some rather good magic weapons, a few porcelain bottles of medicine, some with lingering fragrance, some bursting with burning heat that brimmed with life. Compared to Ancestor Bailey at that time, the gains were more modest, but there were several good supreme-grade cultivation methods secret arts. It was just that to Su Xing they were useless. The sole useful one was actually a 9 chapters of Conflagration Sky. 5. Su Xing did not recognize that name, and only after he heard a bit from Wu Xinjie did he realize that it was read as 9 chapters of Prominent, 6, Sky, which made Wu Xinjie somewhat red-faced. The above introduced was a powerful palm technique of the fire type that used the force of the true fire energy within the body. Altogether, there were 9 chapters for 9 palms. The first palm was known as Conflagration 1 Shuns Fire, 7, which could split open incoming fire attacks. The second palm was known as Conflagration 2 Drives Flame, which propelled fire vigor. When Su Xing originally used the clinging Fire Star Domain Sword to defend, Ancestor Heavenly Fire used these 2 palms to counterattack. However, Ancestor Heavenly Fire had not trained to a high degree. It seemed he had stopped at the 3rd palm because the latter were more and more incredible, with the 8th chapters, Conflagration 8 Burns Heaven and Chapter 9's, Conflagration 9 Divine Sun, being completely capable of burning the current Su Xing to slag. However, cultivating this 9 chapters of Conflagration Heaven required fire-type true vigor. Su Xing currently had inside his body the purple qi and the water-type heavenly water heart flame. He had no idea how long it would take to cultivate this, so it would have been better to cultivate Ancestor Huai Mu's wood essence nurturing secret technique. 8. When cultivating it ordinarily, it could save a bit more star energy into the Dantian, and it could be used as a supplement once available star energy was depleted. It sounded to be apparently somewhat helpful, but secret techniques were somewhat dubious. However, the secret techniques had still been supplemented with a mountain-moving peak-flipping power, which used excess star energy. After that time Ancestor Huai Mu used the mountain-moving peak-flipping, it was no wonder he was unable to recover after faltering. It seemed it was nothing more than a bluff. After inspecting them all, Su Xing split what he should have, sold what he should have, and left what he should have. Naturally, there was still a most important thing that could not be forgotten. This was the heaven-tearing gold dragon. Su Xing waved his hand, and a long golden dragon appeared inside the immortal's abode. Lin Yingmei, Wu Siyou, Yan Yizhen and the others could not help but widen their eyes from their self-cultivation. They stared in endless wonder at this 9th-rank demon beast. And Suwen's eyes held an even more unconcealable happiness. Young Lord, this heaven-tearing gold dragon can let Young Lord forge the flying sword. Wu Xinjie's eyes were suffused with light. Su Xing responded. This was even more satisfying than obtaining the birth treasure outline. The most important material needed for the heavenly spirit earthly fiend purple star 5 element sword's metal-type flying sword was 108 golden dragon scales of the heaven-tearing gold dragon. To make 12 would require 1296 heaven-tearing gold dragon scales. Originally, Su Xing had thoroughly given up. Knowing that each scale was worth approximately 10 million liang apiece when converted to gold, just the metal-type flying sword's blade was about to be 13 billion, and it was not necessarily something he could buy. That 9th-rank demon beast was not something Su Xing could handle at all. He never expected that the birth outline would give him a chance from heaven. The heavenly spirit earthly fiend purple star 5 elements swords, metal type, unexpectedly was the first to be completed. The spirit material that concentrates the sword is dragon saliva true water, and the other materials should be sold at Kagoshima Market Square. Su Xing estimated to himself. This metal sword was not a problem at all. The biggest problem now was forging it. Su Xing actually had somewhat of a grasp on how to forge the blade, but refining the materials was a headache of a problem. His purple star transforming cheech was far from perfect, and he did not know how many years would pass to practice that four styles refinement to the highest peak. Just refining the dragon scales into something that could congeal the sword blade, if it was not someone of a sect master rank, who would dare go do it? If refinement failed, that certainly was a colossal failure. This heavenly spirit earthly fiend purple star 5 elements sword that was originally supposed to be a sword chant given to supervoid cultivators would naturally be troublesome to forge. Whatever Almighty originally conceived of this sword chant would not have thought a galaxy early stage cultivator unexpectedly planned to refine it. Perhaps they would have been scared stupid. Could it truly be that we must have a master go refine it? Su Xing's head hurt. Bringing this sort of thing out would raise a reign of terror, and how could have self-confidence for this? Young lord, there is no need to make things difficult. Right here, there is someone who can actually help young lord. Wu Xinjie slightly grinned with an expression that showed she had an ace in the hole. Xinjie, do you have a countermeasure? Su Xing was curious. Wu Xinjie smiled and actually betrayed the climax. Has young lord forgotten about the birth treasure outline? Su Xing then brought out the birth treasure outline. This ultimate treasure that attracted the star maidens in the second phase seemed to be not that colorful. It was a book that could not be opened, engraved with the words, the birth treasure outline. It had 4 star crest engravings, and the pages of the book were of rare gold. Due to it being refined from gold silkworm heavenly silk, it was light as a feather. Just what use does this birth treasure outline have? Su Xing attempted to channel his star energy into it, and the birth treasure outline immediately glowed with a resplendent golden light. Still, there was no universally shocking effect. This birth treasure outline is used to record the sisters of Maiden Mountain. Wu Xinjie explained. Young lord, turn the birth treasure outline towards Wu Song. Su Xing complied with her words, and the birth treasure outline's light appeared. The pages of the book turned without wind, swishing, surging with an iridescence. Then, it stopped on some page. Su Xing went mute, for upon the golden page appeared Wu Xiyo's moving elegance. Below her legs was a white and black unicorn tiger, and on the accompanying page appeared watery reflections of mysterious characters and images. Written clearly upon it was material that made Su Xing stupefied. Star position, Harm star name, Wu Song nickname, Pilgrim true name, Wu Xiyo rank, 14th star weapon, Noble Frost demonic lotus, 3 star, star beast, white and black unicorn tiger, 7th rank, realm, 10,000 techniques realm 8th stage innate skill, movement array, 2, 5 elements, metal yellow rank special skill, 3 bowls of spirits tiger intoxication / 10 Li demonic lotus dragon slaying. 3, current status, no contractor / weakened, can be conquered, detailed materials. Su Xing thought, this Liangshan maiden is abnormal. This simply was even more comprehensive than game data. All of Wu Xiyo's state of affairs, all of her materials, were completely on the birth treasure outline. It could be said there was no privacy whatsoever, and as the proverb goes, know the enemy and know oneself, come unscathed through 100 battles. This was actually good, for he understood everything with the birth treasure outline. The 3 words of the current state, can be conquered, made Su Xing blush in shame. Young lord, you can go receive her. Wu Xinjie stifled a laugh. Su Xing glanced at Wu Xiyo. The woman's eyes were icy to the bone, stunning without losing its frightening cold. Su Xing could see that Wu Xiyo was one who preferred death to dishonor. And to receive and capture her? Even if he took the opportunity right now to capture her, this Wu Xiyo inevitably would spare no effort to die in a way that ensured she took Su Xing with her. How could the harm star's harm character be the least bit as tolerant as Lin Yingmei's loyal? 5. Under Wu Xinjia's explanation, Su Xing could be considered to now know where this birth treasure outline was incredible. It could sense in the surroundings any star general. In other words, before the birth treasure outline, concealing their identity was impossible. As long as he wished for it, then all of the star general's current state and materials would all be revealed by the birth treasure outline with a complete lack of reservation. In addition, the star general's greatest weak point was using the 5 elements as a restraint. However, this weak point could be said to be negligible. If their realm was a bit higher, the star general did not fear the 5 elements. If they were a bit weaker, they would still disdain using the 5 elements for restraint. It was no wonder that they previously have Su Xing not bear too big of a hope. Moreover, the sword chant Su Xing cultivated was a 5-element sword. Whatever 5 elements there were could all be restrained. However, even if things were like this, the fact the birth treasure outline could expose a star general's materials made Su Xing feel as if he discovered the new world. Su Xing then used the birth treasure outline on the other girls. Their cases were recorded one after another, and Wu Xiyo, as expected, was the most formidable in terms of realms. All of the Star General's realms had the 9th seat as the peak, and Wu Xiyo's 10,000 Techniques 8th stage already approached the Extreme realm. In contrast, Lin Yingmei was only 10,000 Techniques 3rd stage while Yan Yizhen was 10,000 Techniques 1st stage. Xinjia, you have another destined star weapon, 8 gates 5 metals chain? 6, Su Xing said, astonished. Wu Xinjia nodded, but Xinjia does not know how to bring it out. 7, just take it slow. Su Xing smiled. This birth treasure outline indeed is a good thing, but what does it have to do with refining the sword chant? Young lord, use this to go look at Tang Lianxin, and then you will know. Wu Xinjia mysteriously smiled. Su Xing went blank and immediately understood what she meant. Don't tell me it's really her? Outside the bamboo house, with the deep shadows of its lush courtyard, and a small bridge over a stream, Tang Lianxin sat upright and still, inspecting records and reading plans. From her face, it was simply impossible to see that she had participated in plundering the purple star birth outline not long ago. Outside the bamboo forest, Su Xing held the birth treasure outline with indefinite hesitation. After all, Tang Lianxin was considered to be a field. 8. There was a reason she chose to conceal her identity, and prying into her secrets like this was apparently not too appropriate. Young lord, she is vitally important to refining the flying sword chant. You must not be careless. Xinjia is not too certain whether or not this Tang Lianxin is a little sister. Wu Xinjia cautiously said. Xinjia, your think then act won't do? She must have some astral tool or such that protects her. Xinjia completely cannot sense it. Wu Xinjia shook her head. What about that star weapon? Su Xing recalled Tang Lianxin's method. Wu Xinjia still had no alternative. This solitary star is extremely reclusive, and very few have signed star duel covenants throughout the 9 generations of star duels. Even if they contracted, they would not necessarily battle. As far as the solitary star's destined star weapon is concerned, opinions differ. She is the most mysterious of Maiden Mountain's 108 sisters. Some say she has 10,000 golden void magic needles. Some say it is a divine hammer, and some say it is a sword and spear. In short, there is a lot. Su Xing wiped his sweat. He rolled his eyes, for he had a way that would not lack in confidence. Su Xing brought Wu Xinjia as he walked to a seat in front of Tang Lianxin and sat down. Tang Lianxin's brows rose, for she saw a golden scroll. Then, this time, I had the fortune to obtain an odd book. Does little sister Lianxin want to take a look? Su Xing asked. Tang Lianxin had an uninterested appearance. Mind if I take a look? 11. Su Xing watched Tang Lianxin's each and every move. You will see it sooner or later, is that not so? Tang Lianxin asked Su Xing back, making Su Xing somewhat awkward. If little sister is offended, then never mind. It's just that big brother has a troublesome matter. It's somewhat important. If you want to look, then take a look. What else does Lianxin have that big brother has not already seen? Tang Lianxin's calm made Su Xing somewhat embarrassed. Young lord? Just what beastly thing have you done to little sister? Wu Xinjie widened her eyes, wanting to taste the inside scoop. Don't have blind worries. Su Xing looked at Tang Lianxin's casual appearance, and then he flipped through the birth treasure outline. The golden book rolled open, and wind went through 100 pages. Tang Lianxin's image then appeared on it. She really was a star general. Seeing Tang Lianxin's data, Su Xing could not help but stare blankly. She really was that ranked 88th solitary star gold coin spotted leopard Tang Long. 12. Lianxin, you truly are the solitary star Tang Lianxin. Wu Xinjie was very curious about the solitary star gold coin spotted leopard's destined star weapon. Seeing what was recorded, she was somewhat unable to grasp it. The Great Void Golden Lotus. 13. Little sister Lianxin, what star weapon is this? Tang Lianxin set down the scripture in her hand. Her eyes had a gold light, and they saw golden patches appear from her skin. These patches broke out from her body, and they formed hundreds of golden lotus seeds that floated in midair. Tang Lianxin moved her hand, and these golden lotus seeds became liquid gold that condensed into a single piece. This liquid was strangely both like fire and like water. It seemed very inconceivable. In the blink of an eye, the liquid gold washed clean off, and a large golden blade edge suddenly appeared from thin air. This scene made Su Xing and Wu Xinjie stunned. Tang Lianxin moved her hand again. This large blade disintegrated into lotus seeds and condensed again. This time, it turned into countless golden needles. Under Tang Lianxin's control, the golden lotus seeds practically were masters of the 18 arms. 14. Plucking lotus in autumn southern dikes, more lotus flowers than people, lower your head to hold lotus seed clear as water. Wu Xinjie praised. Little sister Lianxin's great void golden lotus is unimaginable as expected. They all say the 9 tattooed dragons Shijin's 9 destined star weapons cannot be reached by anyone from Maiden Mountain, but as Xinjie sees it, little sister Lianxin's great void golden lotus countless changes are absolute. Since you know my identity, then please make your move. The great void golden lotus returned to inside Tang Lianxin's body. Her expression was still aloof, a look of slaughter me as you please. Little sister, that is a nice joke. My young master is definitely not intolerable as you think. Young lord truly treats Lianxin as a little sister. Otherwise, why would he ask for little sister before using the birth treasure outline just now? Wu Xinjie slightly smiled. Actually, Big Brother has something to request of you. Su Xing sat beside Tang Lianxin, wrapping his arm around her shoulder. Tang Lianxin's eyes helplessly looked at the man's hand. The first time they met, he was already like this. Nowadays, he did not understand restraint at all. A star master treating other sisters without contracts as a little sister? Tang Lianxin was slightly at a loss, but she very quickly put away this subtle mood. Calm and collected like a dry well, she asked, what is it? Su Xing explained the matter of refining the heaven-tearing gold dragon scales. Now, he could only rely on Tang Lianxin. The excellence of her forging skills need not be mentioned, and to leave the forging to her, Su Xing could completely be at ease. Dragon scales? Do you have these? Tang Lianxin was somewhat interested. As a tool refinement master, refining dragon scales was something that she had yearned to do for ages. In past star duels, solitary stars that signed contracts were often enticed to do so by this sort of rarely seen unique material, and Tang Lianxin was no exception. However, now that they were suited to being brother and sister, she actually did not need to accept the lure of signing a contract. Thinking of this, she looked at Su Xing with an expression that was even more incapable of fathoming him. When she saw that heaven-tearing gold dragon, Tang Lianxin was reluctant to part her hands from it. That antisocial expression finally exhibited a slight excitement. Are you actually willing to hand this over to me to complete? Then, I will be very relieved if I leave this to you. Su Xing nodded. I shall help Big Brother Su Xing complete it, Tang Lianxin said. Since she did not need to sign a contract as repayment, calling out Big Brother was not any sort of big deal to her. Su Xing sighed with satisfaction. The heaven-tearing dragon was still awesome. Faced with Su Xing's satisfaction, Wu Xingjie to the side rolled her eyes. Bing Qingxian looked at the astral bag in his hand. He very easily concealed the boundless joy in his eyes. A girl in black skin-tight clothing was concealed in the shadows, as if her existence was an expanse of darkness. Master, subordinate 16, was unsuccessful and could not kill the purple thunder monster. Let it be. With a supercluster stage number 1 cultivator's astral bag, it just so happens to be very beneficial to me. This can count as an unexpected harvest. Bing Qingxian gazed at the astral bag. He slightly sighed. Such a pity that the miraculous Bodhi tree was snatched away by the purple thunder monster. This purple thunder monster will be a disaster. The Azure Dragon territory will clear itself of this sort of disaster. We shall hide ourselves in a secret place to watch such a good drama. By your will, Master. The shadow dispersed. Purple thunder monster, now let us make a bet. High profile or low profile, just who can reach the very end. Bing Qingxian clutched the astral bag, as he thought to himself. With the solitary star Tang Lianxin, they could refine the dragon scales, and Su Xing was able to settle the biggest stone in his heart. In the upcoming time he would start to wantonly procure from the Kagoshima Market Square the other materials to refine the metal-type flying swords Dragon Saliva True Water. At several of the Azure Dragon territory's largest market squares, he used many days to take in information from everywhere, shuttled to all kinds of auctions, conducted fair trades and other exchanges. Afterwards, Su Xing finally could be considered as having finished gathering all the materials. Of course, he had spent a lot, a value of approximately 20 billion gold more or less. Just the spirit materials required for the Dragon Saliva True Water had used more than 12 billion. In order to not arouse the suspicions of others, Su Xing borrowed those sect tokens that Shi Yuan had and used the change appearance pill to gather the materials one after the other. What made him happy was that Yan Yizhen's missing 3 pieces of Yin Yang Jade was obtained using a little more than 3 billion, and he had also managed to get 2 pieces of Ice Kite Arctic Jade. After this purple star birth outline ended, the market square's items would only naturally be far better. And during this period of time, the Azure Dragon territory also erupted with an unprecedented tremor. Without him, the Extreme Clarity Elder Immortal acting as the Azure Dragon territory's top-notch supercluster cultivator had unexpectedly been done in when he confronted Wu Song. This certainly made the entire Azure Dragon territory's sects extremely frightened. This star general sure enough was a fiend star best not provoked, and the purple thunder monster getting rid of 2 supercluster middle-stage cultivators was, on the contrary, not that shocking. However, the Most High Path, the Divine Flame Sword sect, and the Tai Sword sect had already issued a joint eradication order. 2. Anyone that informed on the purple thunder monster would receive the rewards of the great sects, and if they could kill him, the reward was even more generous. With this, 3 of the Azure Dragon territory's 4 great sword sects had already vowed to exterminate the purple thunder monster. Of course, what made people most surprised was that the Most High Path also had issued an alliance of 10 chase to kill on the purple thunder monster. Reportedly, the Extreme Clarity Elder Immortal's death had something to do with him, and how could the Azure Dragon territory's number 1 great sect's chase to kill be compared with the blooming water sword sects? With the alliance of 10 chase to kill was issued, perhaps the purple thunder monster truly would completely lack ground to stand upon because they knew that if they discussed the fugitive, the Most High Path's abilities were very profound. If they also added that somewhat pointed arrest warrant of Emperor Liang's, that purple thunder monster practically had offended the major powers of the entire Azure Dragon territory. It made people gasp in amazement. This was the very first time that this had occurred in the Azure Dragon territory, and they could not help but change their views on this purple thunder monster from monster to demon. With this, every cultivator felt this purple thunder monster was truly dead without doubt. At this point, the person involved hardly understood this sort of thing. For now, he soaked all of his life into refining the first life-cast flying sword's excitement. The purple star-grade void immortal's abode. At this moment, the abode was completely sealed. Several beautiful maidens kept watch nearby. Having gone through 10 days' rest with Ensuan's care, Lin Mei and Shi Yuan had both recovered to 40–50% strength. However, because Yan Yizhen was in an extremely debilitated state and had used her vital energy-draining 3 arrows lethal crossbow, her recovery was the slowest. She was at approximately 20%, but this was exceptional. Draped in the purple domain robes, Su Xing sat within a golden array, calmly meditating. He used the heart-like mirror absolute sincerity soul technique to make his vigor completely stay in its most tranquil state, the so-called peace with oneself. He completely lacked exhaustion, and the more tranquil his attitude as he refined the life-cast sword chant, the more his dominance over it. Su Xing sucked in a deep breath and moved his hand. He first took out a warm, golden box from his astral bag, setting it evenly on the floor in front of him. He opened its lid, revealing a condensed golden liquid that appeared almost like golden ceramic glaze. This golden glass was what 108 heaven-tearing gold dragon scales were refined into. In the watery gold, there was a faint ripple, which also flashed several bits of golden spirit chi. This spirit chi was like a sword, seemingly severing empty space. Worthy of Maiden Mountain's most first-rate tool refinement star general, her brilliant refinement method made all the dragon scales emerge unharmed. Not only were they perfectly refined into a sword material to solidify a sword, she had also completely retained the heaven-tearing gold dragon's natural sharpness. Tool refinement scholars were all incapable of doing this better. Su Xing solemnly stared at this lump of golden dragon scale glass. Taking a deep breath, he extended one finger to lightly poke the glass inside the box. Immediately, that golden glass flew out of the box, suspending itself in front of Su Xing. With this brilliant tool refinement method of Tang Lianxin's, if she refined the flying sword, perhaps it would be more beneficial. It was a pity that this life-cast sword chant was incapable of borrowing the hands of another. He could only rely on his own life-cast star energy to go refine it, and he could not make the slightest mistake. Su Xing mentally reviewed one more the procedure for tool refinement. Then, with a serious hand seal, his entire body emitted purple clouds and an auspicious light, enveloping the entire Void Immortal's abode in a deep purple. There were thousands of rays of purple light, tens of thousands of clouds, and it possessed an indescribable profundity. Even Wu Xiao could not help but have a flash in her eye, and from her perspective, the Su Xing at this moment actually lived up to the name's Purple Thunder Monster. Following the purple light reaching its limit, Su Xing struck another hand seal, and a fine as silk purple magic breath flew out from his finger, spraying onto the golden glass. With a crack, the originally keen spirit chi on the glass surface sprung out as if it had substance. It completely lacked restraint as it twisted to attack the purple chi, not letting it approach by even half a step. It had unexpectedly started to fight Su Xing's purple chi. Su Xing did not feel surprised. The 9th-rank demon beast heaven-tearing gold dragon scales originally were resolute spirit items, so how could refining them be this simple? On the contrary, the more resistant it was, the more excited Su Xing became because this sort of refinement would produce a flying sword of greater spiritual power. Using Threet's Purple Heart Immortal's dragon pills, Su Xing's purple chi had already reached a peak. The purple chi immediately swelled, instantly wrapping the golden glass within, and the purple chi began to continuously corrode the glass. This was a very exhausting process that was extremely draining in star energy, with no tolerance for accidents. But not much time had passed when the golden glass surface showed signs of melting. Some parts had begun to faintly shine, and densely packed beads of liquid seeped out. Several hours passed like this, and the golden glass finally began to become soft, slowly changing into a liquid. Su Xing struck a hand seal, and a golden light that emerged from one of the magic circles in the array wrapped up the dripping liquid. It floated in midair like a ball, continuously spinning as it turned into a taiji symbol. Su Xing exhaled, only feeling that his whole body's star energy was close to being sucked dry. He was secretly shocked, for his peak galaxy magic energy was middle stage at the minimum or above. But even if this only refined the dragon scale material of the first flying sword into an embryonic form that was a waste, this was still inside his purple star immortal's abode. Big brother. And Suan hastily used spiritual aura distribution on Su Xing while Wu Xinjie wiped his sweat. Young lord, can you persist? And this immemorial sword chant is indeed somewhat strenuous. Su Xing deeply inhaled, ingesting several star energy replenishment medicines that were prepared in advance. Star energy recovery medicines always were very costly, and the price of this dozen was more than 100 million. He really had somewhat of painful feeling, for if this continued, just 12 flying swords would need more than 1 billion at the least. A normal galaxy stage cultivator without the support of a sect or clan really would be something a scattered star cultivator could play with. From one perspective, Su Xing was extremely abnormal, to the point of making people's hair stand on end. Elder sister Lianxin, young lord doesn't have a problem with this, right? Shi Yuan asked the Tang Lianxin next to her. Acting as supervision for the refinement of the sword chant's powers, Tang Lianxin continuously stared at Su Xing's each and every move. She nodded. Resting for a moment, Su Xing again began to refine the second flying sword's dragon scale. Then, there was a period of endless refining. Using dragon scales as material to refine a flying sword, your master's ambitions are not small. A complicated and hard-to-understand sneer flit across the corner of Wu Xiao's mouth. Is little sister Wu Song impressed? Wu Xinjie smiled. Wu Xiao disapproved. She wanted to discuss with Lin Yingmei her contract, but instead, she found that the girl's gaze currently was locked tightly on that man. How could those anxious eyes have even half a shred of insincerity? Wu Xiao was very upset at this, but she said nothing. She closed her eyes, only resuming her own recovery to peak condition with all haste. This refinement lasted 12 entire days. At this moment, Su Xing stood on the heavenly spirit earthly fiend purple star 5 elements swords, metal element, sword refinement array. In his surroundings was a complex and cryptic profound array. 12 faintly linked arrays raised 12 beams of golden light, and floating inside the light were 12 golden water balls. Su Xing glanced all around, his expression satisfied. After settling its embryonic stage, next was the most important step, sword chant shape modeling. Su Xing's divine intent activated, and the more than dozen boxes inside the magic circle opened in succession. Inside them appeared a transparent, balmy liquid. This was the dragon's saliva true water. It was a dragon's most loved item that received the name dragon saliva, and using it to reinforce the spiritual nature of a dragon scale sword blade was absolutely necessary. After placing dragon saliva true water inside, the rest of the supplementary materials also flew into the water ball one after the other. Then, 12 streaks of divine intent shrouded the surroundings, like a spider's web. The metal element sword refinement array's magic circle fully opened, and light began to revolve. The 12 golden dragon scale liquids began to fluctuate form under the control of both Su Xing's divine intent working with the array. Those drifting liquids little by little were concentrated and stretched into a length, turning flat. Afterwards, a 5 or 6 inch long sword embryo gradually took shape. Su Xing deeply let out his held breath, his expression slightly relaxing. Then, he felt his brain was somewhat faintly in pain, and he could not help but smile. Simultaneously refining this many swords in one breath made Su Xing feel very strained. The majority of star cultivators refined life-cast sword chants separately most of the time, not like the way he was doing. However, Su Xing felt that since this was a life-cast sword chant, naturally, a simultaneous completion was best not passed up. The gold coin-spotted leopard Tang Lianxin also approved of this view. But even if the most important divine sense form was already complete, Su Xing still did not dare relax further. After forming the sword embryo, Su Xing again used purple qi to temper the refinement. The flying sword was already beginning to take shape. Su Xing formed a hand seal, making the magic circle stop. The light dissipated, and 12 golden flying swords floated motionlessly in midair. Su Xing ran his eyes over them. He saw these flying swords were practically identical, without blemish. Relaxing, a red petal floated out from within the astral bag. Life-cast heart flower? The solitary star was stunned. This was but a rarely seen flower for refining life-cast flying swords. Wu Xiao's brow deeply creased. Why did she feel that this guy in front of her had more capital than those great sects? Dragon Scale Sword Chant, Life-Cast Heart Flower. This really was too unimaginable. Even a few great sects' star masters could not possibly match his extravagance. Wu Xiao made a short assessment, calculating the costs of completely refining these 12 golden life-cast flying swords was maybe close to exceeding 40 billion. Just what was this guy's background? You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.